All right, let me set the context for the video. In this video, we're giving 3 AI agents $1,000 to trade with. They'll be trading on cryptocurrency markets. The AI agents will be given historical data about the stock, how it is performing, how's the price going up and down, and a bunch of financial indicators. Based on this, the AI agent can autonomously take positions. It can either long or short a specific cryptocurrency. And based on that, over time, we'll see if the final amount of money that it makes is more than $1,000 or less than $1,000. This agent has been running for me for the past 1 day, and this is how it's performed until now. If you go to aitrading.100xtabs.com, you'll find how much money the 3 agents have right now. They started with $1,000. Cloud right now has 1,018, so it's up $18. DeepSeek is down around $30. Quen is up around $50. Overall, we're in the profits, and it's traded fairly well. All 3 of them have traded around $500,000 of cryptocurrency until this point. If you want to deeply see what exactly is happening under the hood, and what prompt is going to the LLM, how is it responding, and what kind of positions it's taking, you can also track them over here. This project is inspired from 𝗟𝗶𝗀𝘀, which came around 2 weeks ago, I think. 2 weeks ago, they gave $10,000 to 6 models to train with. And if you look at their performance, again, the Chinese models are the ones that are performing the best, which begs the question, do the Chinese know something we don't? Or are their models trained a certain way with trading data? I think the answer is no. But again, there could be some speculation because a lot of these teams came out of HFTs. Generally, though, I would not recommend any of you try to trade with AI. I think we're just lucky over here. That's my personal feeling. I'm actually very surprised by the final outcome that came over here and the fact that I've not lost all the money. So with that information, I mean, choose what you would like to do. That's enough context. If you want to learn, or the things that you're going to learn over here are mostly going to be financial indicators, basically a bunch about finance. How exactly do traders in the real world take specific decisions on whether to buy a stock or to sell a stock, purely based on the existing prices or the price data, not based on any news or any other external factors or macro factors. That's what these guys do as well. If you want to build it from first principles, you should all this inspiration and all the model prompts and financial indicators that I've taken from by reading through their prompts and what they're doing. In terms of the tech stack, it's fairly simple. Bun.js, Lighter is the exchange that we're using, and the 3 LLMs that we're using are Quen, DeepSeek, and Claude. OpenRouter for sending requests to the LLM, Bun.js as the backend/runtime in which we're running our code, and Vercel AI SDK to talk to the LLM, Lighter SDK to talk to Lighter. That's enough context. I'll see you guys in the video. So recently a new project called 𝗟𝗶𝗀𝘀 got released, and this project basically gave $10,000 each to 6 AI models to trade. In this video, we're going to look at what exactly they're doing. What sort of prompts are they sending to the LLM? How is the LLM responding? How is it taking trades? And overall, in the past few days, they've not done too bad. I mean, if you average out, I think in the end, they've not made any money, not lost any money. Quen and basically the Chinese models have been doing really well, which is surprising. Like, why would DeepSeek do well? Is it because they were created by an HFT? I don't think so. But that's what's happened until this point. You can actually track everything that's happening. What kind of prompts are going to the LLM? How is the LLM responding back with positions to take? And those are the exact positions that the model ends up taking. Over the last, it's been around 10 days, maybe 7 days. This has been the performance. We'll try to create something similar. We'll create a trading sort of a view like this, which shows how multiple models are performing when we give them prompts very close to the prompts that are given over here. So if you look at the model chat, it pretty much has everything that's being forwarded to the LLM. It tells it it's been these many minutes since you started trading, and this is the current time, and these many trades have been invoked. This is the time, and you've been invoked these many times. That's 1,200 times since the beginning. Bunch of other metadata, the current price, a bunch of financial indicators that we'll learn about. Some more financial indicators, short-term and long-term. And then the same data for Ethereum, same data for Solana, same data for a bunch of big coins. So these are all crypto coins. We forward them. The last, let's say, 3 days of data and the last few hours of data, and some financial indicators related to that data. That's all the LLM has access to. The LLM then responds back with what kind of positions it wants you to take. Does it want you to buy or sell a specific coin? Specifically here, we're not buying or selling. We're longing or shorting. So we'll talk a bit about what is a long and a short, what are perpetual futures, and how are they different from normal trading or spot trading that you might be a little more comfortable with. That's all the context for this video. We'll kick things off. I created slides for these for this video. They're not very comprehensive. I left them in the middle, but let me see what all I have written. Preface. 𝗟𝗶𝗀𝘀 is a project that's doing fairly well. This is from a few days ago when I realized I want to make this video. Back then, DeepSeek was at the top with $13,000 compared to the starting $10,000. CZ made a tweet. CZ is the founder of Binance, and I sort of agree with him. I don't think necessarily anything would win over here. I think it's pretty random, and you can see that in the final outcome as well. In the final outcome, I think if you average them out, every model is, they still have $50,000, which is what they started with. I think this is a little bit of luck because if you know the stats, 5% of people actually make money in trading. And I don't think LLMs have that kind of knowledge yet. Even if they do, then everyone would start trading with LLMs, and then there would be no real alpha. Everyone would just buy the same positions and sell the same positions. If it becomes open knowledge, which is why I don't think, and I agree with CZ over here, a counter argument could be made that if enough people use the same AI, then its buying power will push the price up by itself, and vice versa. So if the AI thinks the price needs to go up, it will already be priced in. And by the time you buy, the price is sort of normalized with that information. Anything else that I have over here? A bunch of disclaimers. This is not financial advice, and this probably is not going to work. By the time you see this video, you probably are going to see 1 or 2 days worth of trading data and how it performed. I'll create a public dashboard where you can track how it's doing, but high probability that this is all luck and there's no real game to play here or no real script to run that will actually make you money. What we're building is eventually going to be a simple script in the end, a script where we fetch a bunch of data from an exchange. We'll decide what exchange to pick and where we're actually placing trades in the end. But there would be a decentralized or centralized perpetual future exchange from which we'll be fetching a bunch of data. So what would this data look like? For these guys, the data pretty much looks something like this. It's just the candlestick data for the last few hours and the last few days, compressed in a specific format, and a bunch of indicators, financial indicators that are used fairly commonly. So nothing too crazy. Like the indicators you might not have heard of. I also haven't heard of a bunch of these indicators, but they're easy enough to write. And generally, when you write trading algorithms without an AI, you sort of use these indicators to figure out if two indicators sort of converge, is when the price will go up or price will go down. But all of that is left to the AI. Our job is to just gather this candlestick data, let's say every 5 minutes. Tell the LLM, this is our current position. This is how much money we have made until this point. This is the candlestick data for the last 4 hours and the last few days, basically a long-term and a short-term sort of a trend. And the LLM will respond back with if it needs to update any of the trades or not. So in the end, a backend that is going to talk to the LLM, and the LLM is going to tell us what to do, and we're going to place those orders on the exchange. We'll also be reading a bunch of data from the exchange. All of this would be HTTP. So all the connections between our backend and the exchange would be an HTTP request. All the requests over here are going to be HTTP requests, standard LLM calls like you might have done until this point. There's nothing too fancy over here. I think by the end, this should be less than 200 lines of code, maybe 5 files. So nothing crazy to write when it comes to the code. One thing you need to understand is what are perps and how are they different from spot exchanges before we start. The reason we're trading on perps is because these guys are trading on perps. If I originally thought we'd trade on spot, but before I throw these terms at you, if you scroll to the top of Backpack, which is also an exchange, you'll see two things, spot and futures. Spot is the traditional exchange you might be comfortable with until this point. You might have heard of spot. And if you haven't, if you're ever placing a trade on 𝗟𝗶 like you and I do, then, for example, if you're buying 5 stocks of Axis Bank, you're basically trading against a counterparty. You're giving them some INR. You're taking some Axis Bank stock with them. That's what happens when you go to backpack.exchange. Oh, what is that? That's what happens when you go to backpack.exchange/trade/sol_USD. So if I try to buy one SOL and I click on the buy button, the order did not fulfill because I don't have enough funds, which is weird. Or I probably don't have enough USD. I already have a lot of Sol. So I can sell some Solana and show you. If I click on sell and click on one, I was able to sell one Solana. Now my Solana balance has gone down and my US dollar balance has gone up, or has it? Yeah, it has 192. But if you go to futures, the thing that you're doing is slightly different. It's actually significantly different from what happens on spot. The price that you see over here is also significantly different from the price that you will see on the perps market. The reason for that is fairly complicated. For that, you need to understand how perps work under the hood. Why do they even exist in the first place? And what is the difference between a spot and a perpetual future? High level. Perps are future contracts. They're closer to option contracts, but they don't have any expiry, which is the technical definition for it. For that, you need to understand what are future contracts. If you've ever traded on 𝗟𝗶 as a degenerate, not as normal retail users, you might already know what futures are. In fact, 90% or 95% of 𝗟𝗶's revenue actually comes from futures and not the trades that you and I make. So it's basically, it's close to gambling. It's when you, and quickly take you through it. Let's create a few flowcharts here. What we need to understand is the difference between spot, options trading, and then perps. Spot, I hope you understand by now. If you go to backpack.exchange/sol trade/sol USD, what you're doing over here when you click on buy or sell is a spot exchange. If you go to 𝗟𝗶.com and try to buy 10 Axis Bank stocks, you're basically trading on a spot exchange. Options are a little more tricky, and this is where people start to gamble a little bit. Options is when you pay a really small price, for example, 200 rupees, to buy the option or to get the option of buying a stock, let's say 200 Axis Bank stocks at a specific time, which could be today's 25th October, so let's say 27th October. If I feel that the price of Axis Bank is going to go down, I will pay someone a premium. I will pay someone 200 rupees, which is also called a premium, and tell them, hey, I would like to buy 200 Axis stock banks from you on 27th October or before that. But I would really like to buy them. I also have the option of not buying them. So I may or may not buy 200 Axis Bank stocks from you. The other counterparty immediately gets 200 rupees. And if the price of Axis Bank drops enough, then it becomes a profitable trade for me because I get 200 Axis Bank stocks from them at a much cheaper price at which I would have bought them today. So if the Axis Bank stock basically drops by 1 rupee, I'll be able to buy them at, sorry, my bad. If the Axis Bank stock goes up by 20 rupees, I can still buy Axis Bank at the price on this day. So is that true? I think that's true. I think it's at a specific price. Yeah, I have to Google this. I get the option of buying 200 Axis stock bank stocks, 200 Axis stocks at a specific price, let's say 200 rupees per stock at a specific date, let's say 27th October. That is what an option is. I can go to 𝗟𝗶.com. I can buy an option. I can pay 200 rupees abhi. And then I can sort of see my position go up and down based on the price of Axis Bank. Because I told the other party, I'll buy 200 Axis Bank stocks from you at 200 rupees per stock. If the price goes up, I can still buy it at 200 rupees per stock. So that's where the profit comes from. If the price of Axis Bank tomorrow goes up to 300 rupees, then I can buy Axis Bank at 200 rupees. So I can spend 200 into 200, that's 40,000 rupees. And get back 200 Axis stocks. And since the current price is 300, I can immediately sell it for 60,000 rupees. And basically convert my 200 Axis Bank stocks into 60,000 rupees and make a profit of 20K. So with a premium of 200 rupees, I was able to make 20,000 rupees, provided the price of Axis Bank went up. The premium, of course, is sort of priced in the way you sort of, you can only make, I mean, it's of course not as simple as this. Like, it won't be 200 rupees and the net outcome won't very easily be 20,000. Of course, the price of Axis Bank will not go up from 200 to 300 in 3 days. But you get the idea. These are more technically contracts between two parties where one party gives the other party the option, not the obligation, but the option of buying a stock at a certain price at a specific date. Buying a stock at a certain price at a certain date. And the other party gives them a premium. Now, if the price is in the favor of this party, then they just keep their 200 rupees. The first party never really exercises their option. But if it becomes favorable for the other party, then they exercise the option. They take the 200 Axis Bank stocks from them and sell them. Or a lot of times, if the price of Axis Bank does go up, the price of this future will also go up to 500, 1,000, 20,000, let's say 15,000. So I can also just sell this option to someone else. And then that other person can eventually finish the trade on 27th October. Today's 25th. Tomorrow, it might happen that the price of this option goes up because the Axis Bank price is going up. So I can immediately sell the option. Someone else then finally takes the final trade and, waits for 27th October to come and end it. That's what options are. We're not dealing with options today. I just wanted to share a brief history about what options are and how are they different from perpetual futures. Hopefully we understand spot. We understand options. Perps are I wouldn't call it a new category. I think they're pretty old. 2008 or 2012, I forgot, is when they were introduced. And they are almost an option only, but they don't have an expiry date. So you could consider them to be very close to what you saw on the left. But they do not have an expiry date, which means when you buy a perps contract, you're pretty much saying I'm willing to buy or sell something at a specific price with no expiry. And then the way the contract sort of continues with this specific property makes the price of a perpetual contract, which is, this thing right here, sort of follow the price of the actual underlying asset. So if this is Sol USDC perp and this is Sol USD, this, as you can see, is sort of following very closely the price of this guy because the way the contract is sort of written between two parties, as you buy and sell this contract, there is something called the funding rate that one party has to give to the other party. People who are buying have to give to the people who are selling, or people who are longing have to give to the people who are shorting. If you add that up, the funding rate sort of makes people buy a specific side more heavily. The funding rate makes sure that people are aggressively buying one side or the other side because at a specific time, which right now is 23 minutes from now, people from this side are going to pay the people from the other side. People from the longs are going to pay the shorts or vice versa based on whether or not this funding rate is positive or negative. Because of this 1 hour counter and one party paying the other party, people aggressively buy on one side to make sure that the final price is close to the final price over here. The final price of the perpetual contract is close to the final price of the actual underlying asset. Happens because of this thing called the funding rate. The funding rate sort of ensures if the price deviates too much, if people buy the contract too much and this price deviates too much, the other side has the incentive of sort of selling, bringing the price closer to this mark price that you see over here, which is the latest. I don't know if this is the mark price or this one, the index price, which is the actual price of the underlying asset. So as long as this is close to this, we'll be good. If this is not close to this, is when one party is incentivized to heavily buy or sell, or heavily long or short, which makes this price come closer to the actual underlying index price. So it is a contract. There is no real stock involved, which is why perps are super popular for assets that are very hard to get. A good example is a Tesla stock or a Coinbase stock or any stock in the US market, any stock in the Japanese market or crude oil. These are things that you and I can't really buy easily. It's very hard for Indians to buy a stock of Meta. But we can buy a perpetual contract of Meta. We can long or short Meta thanks to exchanges like these, where the market makers are constantly making sure that the price of this perpetual contract remains close, if not exactly the same as the price of the real Meta stock. The downside is you and I never actually own the Meta stock. So there's something to keep in mind. If you're ever buying a perpetual contract, you're buying the contract and not the underlying asset. So if all the Meta holders get a dividend, you do not get it. If all the Meta holders get to vote somewhere, you do not get it because there are like limited stocks of Meta, right? They're like, let's say 100K stocks of Meta that's distributed amongst a bunch of people, employees or otherwise. It might happen that the price of these 100K stocks or the market cap is, let's say, 1 trillion. But there might be perpetual contracts of 10 trillion trading on top of this 1 trillion market cap stocks. This is the actual underlying stock, and there might be a market on it where people are actually trading with each other, much bigger volumes than the actual market cap of the company itself. This is why perps are a little common. The other reason they're very common is it's very easy to introduce leverage trading in perps. If you ever want to do a 1x, 2x, 10x, for example, I only have $8,000 in my backpack wallet, but I can actually create a position where I'm trading with $71,000 because I'm taking a 10x leverage on my position. What that does is if the price goes up by 1%, my actual profits will go up by 10% if I've taken a long position. But if the price goes down by 1%, then my actual profits will, or my loss will be amplified. I'll lose 10% of my position. If the price goes up by 10%, I'll make 2x because I have a 10x leverage. But if the price goes down by 10%, then I sort of lose my position and I lose $7,000, not $70,000. But it goes, do you get the idea? The base capital, the available equity that I have is $7,000, which is why even though I'm trading on paper with $72,000, if it goes up by 10%, I will double my base amount. So my $7,000 becomes $14,000. But if the position goes down by 10% or the price goes down by 10%, I basically am down to zero. So I basically have no money by the end. Hopefully, that's a decentish idea of what perps are. We don't need to understand any of the history because it's very easy to just understand what they're doing and take these positions. For example, if I take a long with let's say $18,000 over here, then I have this sort of open position, which is currently down $5. If the price climbs down, I'll keep on losing more and more money. But if the price climbs up, I'll make more money. I'm going to close this position. But you get the idea. I just lost $4 on a perpetual contract, not on the actual Solana market. Or, I did not actually buy Solana or sell Solana. I actually just traded a contract, which made me lose some money right now. So if you look at my order history, you'll see one order where I lost, whatever. I don't see the actual P&L here. Position history. There you go. I actually made some money by the end. By the time I ended up trading, or my position ended up closing, the price moved and I actually made $1, which is good. But I also lost a lot of money in fees because it was a pretty big position, and if you multiply that by the trading fees, wow, it's like $7. That's insane. So I made some profit on paper, but the trading fee sort of took away around $8 from me, which is not great. That's why you never really open and close a position because your position is so leveraged. I'm taking a position of $18,000. So the fees on this becomes really high. 0.01% is a very big number if this is what you're trading with. So these are things to keep in mind when you're placing these trades. But hopefully you get the idea of what perps are. And what's going to happen in the end is all of these trades are going to be taken by the AI and not me, the human. That should probably cover everything I had in the slides. From here is where we start to code. There are some financial indicators that we need to read about or know about. A bunch of these financial indicators are present here in the model chat. So if I open the chat, you'll see an EMA, which is an exponential moving average, EMA 20. Mid prices, which is basically the current price at a specific interval, exponential moving average, MACD, RSI. These are all financial indicators. We'll see how many of these we finally code. But at least for these guys, they provide these 4 financial indicators for a by-minute data, which basically means, what happened at a 1 minute level for the last, let's say, 20 candles. Did it go up? Did it go down? And what are the financial indicators for these last 20 minutes? And then they have a 4-hour sort of a candle. What happened for the last 20 candles in these 4-hour candles? So this one candle is 4 hours of data. This other candle is 4 hours of data. So what happened in the last 4 into 20 hours and what happened in the last 4 into 20 minutes is the data that we finally forward to the LLM, very close to what's happening here. The LLM responds back with what positions to take, and we take those positions and hope for the best. That's what we're coding today. With that, I think there's one last slide before we start coding. This one right here. You can pick any one of these exchanges to trade on. There are decentralized perps. There are centralized perps. There is good reason to choose one over the other. You can pick any one. I am going with Lighter today. It's a perp that I was sort of experimenting with 2 days ago. And I have actually ported over their Python SDK. This is their Python SDK that lets you trade using Python. I ported this over to JavaScript today only, in fact, a few hours ago. So this is what we'll use. This supports almost everything we need today, which is getting candlestick data, placing orders, getting the positions, things like these. So basically written an SDK that will make it very simple for us to do what we want to do. There are a bunch of examples, and all 4 of these examples is all we need. I should probably add more examples here because there's a lot you can do in an exchange. Today, though, we only need to create orders, which means hold a position. Cancel order if the LLM tells us this position is going, if you've made a profit or if it's going down too much, it wants us to cancel it. Get K lines, which basically means get these candles for the last XYZ hours, and get positions, which tells the LLM how much money have we made until now and what all positions are open. Are we long on BTC right now? Are we short on Sol? What positions the LLM took in the past is what we'll get from this 4th sort of an example. So in the end, the code should be fairly simple. And these examples will sort of guide us through it. With that, let's get into the next part. Let's understand probably the tech stack for the day. Right, let's talk through the tech stack for the day. We'll be using Bun as the runtime. Unfortunately, you won't be able to use Node.js because the Bullet.js SDK that I've written, sorry, the Lighter.js SDK, that's so wrong, Lighter. Unfortunately, at some points, specifically over here, where is it? Probably here. Uses some internals of Bun. So these will not work with Node.js. So unfortunately, the SDK that we're using is not compatible with Node.js. So you will have to use Bun as the runtime. Vercel AI SDK to connect to the LLM and do a bunch of tool calls. Prisma Postgres as our database. React or Next for the front end. OpenRouter as a router layer that lets us connect to various LLMs. Should be fairly straightforward, less than 100, 200 lines of code, I'm assuming. I'm assuming this to be a black box and assuming OpenRouter AI SDK to be a black box. Shouldn't be a lot of lines of code. I've written down the information, a little more elaborate information around what financial indicators we'll be using today. We'll be using mid prices, EMA, let me just name them, mid prices, EMA, and MACD as the 3 financial indicators for the day. This is all the information that the LLM would have for a short-term duration and for a long-term duration. And based on these indicators, it needs to make the final decision of whether it needs to buy, sell, long or short a specific asset. Mid prices is the easiest one. This is basically the current price at a specific interval. So if you look at any market, let me open the Solana perp market over here. If I select 1 minute candles, then the mid price here would be 199. Mid price here would be 199.96. Here would be 199.93. Here would probably be somewhere in the middle of this high and this low. So 199.84. Here it would be 199.66. 199.74, so on and so forth. So the mid prices for all of these last, let's say 20 candles or 10 candles, what is the mid price between the high and the low of this specific interval? It can be high and low. For example, for this candle, this is the high, the thinner green line that you see here, and this is the low. For this one, this was the high, this was the low. Or it can be the mid of the open and the close. So this is where the market opened, this is where the market closed in this specific candle. So we can pick in either one of these. We'll probably pick open and close. So this is where this market opened, this is where this market closed. The mid price is going to be the mid price for that interval. If we take that for the last 10 intervals, we get the mid price for the last 10 intervals. That's the easy one, which is mid prices. Then comes something called simple moving average. This is fairly simple. It's basically the average of, let's say, the last 10 candles. So the simple moving average for this and this would be, the mid price here plus the mid price here plus the mid price here, so on and so forth, divided by the number of candles. So just like a moving average for the last, n intervals. So SMA 20 would be the last 20 intervals ka simple moving average. I can find the SMA 20 for this candle, that will be the last 20 divided by 20. Of this candle, that will be the last 20 from here divided by 20. The SMA of this candle would be the last 20 divided by 20. And you can find basically a time series SMA over time. That is not something we forward through the LLM. If you look at the project that we're following, they don't forward the SMA, they forward the EMA. They forward the mid prices, that's the last 10 prices of Bitcoin, and then EMA on a 20 period, not SMA, EMA. So there's a subtle difference between, not a subtle difference, of mild difference or a big difference between what EMA and SMA are. SMA hopefully is easy to digest. The SMA 20 for this candle would be the last 20 candles ka mid price divided by 20. EMA or exponential moving average is a little different. EMA takes into consideration the recent candle a little bit more than the older candle. So if you're calculating EMA 20 for this specific time, you will take the last 20 candles. But for this candle, the effect it will have on EMA 20 won't be as much as this final candle. So the final candle, as you keep moving towards the right, the candles on the right will have a little more effect on EMA or the exponential moving average compared to the candles on the left. That's the difference between an SMA and an EMA. Technically, it follows this formula. And if you sort of do a quick experiment, for example, I did this experiment before starting the video. If this is what the chart looks like, let's say the mid price of the candle was 201, then 208, 215, 215, probably 225, and then 250. I've written them down over here. So if the mid prices look like this, there is clearly an upward trend over here. The SMA comes down to 222.60. So somewhere over here, this is where the SMA comes out. The EMA is slightly above it because you can clearly see that the recent candles are on a upward trend. If the recent candles were on a downturn trend, then the EMA might be lower than the SMA as well. So the EMA takes into considerations the recent candles a little bit more. The recent candles are a little more weighted compared to the older candles, which is why in this case, since the recent candles are going up, the EMA is above the SMA. But if the recent candles were going down, the EMA would have been lower to the SMA. This is a common sort of financial indicator that is used, which doesn't do much apne aap mein. Like, this isn't the only indicator that will tell you anything. There are some indicators derived on top of EMA, which usually give you some more information. That is the next one over here, which is moving average convergence divergence. So this is the fourth one. To recap, let's go to the simpler ones first. Mid prices, just the last 20, last 100, last 200 prices, or mid prices, which means in a specific interval, what was the average price? SMA or simple moving average, that's, the moving average of the last 20 candles, last 30 candles, in a fairly simple mean sort of a formula, the sum of all the mid prices divided by the total number of intervals. EMA, which can be of various types. EMA 20, which means the last 20 candles, EMA 50 means the last 50 candles, is the exponential moving average, which is calculated using this formula. If you read through this formula, before writing this formula, you have to understand what a multiplier is, or you first calculate the multiplier. Let's say you're calculating EMA 20. In this case, the multiplier would be 2 divided by 21, 2 divided by the number of periods that you're calculating it for plus 1. So that will be whatever. 2 divided by 21 is like 0.1 or 0.098, something like that, a small number basically. And EMA today, so if you're calculating the EMA or the moving average, the EMA at a certain candle would be the EMA at the last candle into 1 minus multiplier plus the price today into the multiplier. So you sort of calculate the moving average, and the current moving average of a candle depends on the moving average of the last candle. The EMA today, the EMA at this point is going to be the EMA up until this point into 1 minus multiplier, EMA yesterday into 1 minus multiplier, plus EMA plus the price at this candle, which will be this mid price right here, into the multiplier. This calculates the EMA for the day. One good question you might have is, Kirat, what is the very first EMA? If the EMA over here depends on this guy and the EMA over here depends on this guy, how do you calculate the EMA of the very first candle? Which is a great question. I think there are various ways. I could be wrong on this, so check yourself. But first you calculate the SMA of, let's say, these 20 candles. I repeat, you calculate the SMA of these 20 candles for this period. And then the very first EMA is the SMA of the last 20 candles. So if you are, let's say, calculating EMA 20 for these last 10 candles, you will first find the SMA of these 20 candles. I repeat, if you are calculating EMA 20 of these 10 candles, if you want, I want EMA 20 at this point, this point, this point, this point, so on and so forth. What you'll do is you'll calculate the SMA for the last 20 candles, and that will be the very first EMA. And then this EMA will depend on this EMA, this EMA will depend on this EMA, this EMA will depend on this EMA, so on and so forth. So first, the very first EMA is considered to be the SMA, and then every subsequent EMA just depends on the EMA before it. Is that clear? Do we understand mid prices, SMA and EMA? The last one, which again they do forward, which is why we should probably also forward it, which is MACD. This one right, this one right here. MACD stands for moving average convergence divergence, which is a like a lot to say. It means a lot of things. Using this indicator, you can calculate a lot of things. Technically, it's a very simple thing. It's the EMA 26 minus the EMA 14. It is the 26th. So if you calculate EMA considering the period to be 26, minus if you calculate the EMA considering the period to be 14, or actually this could be any two numbers. This is the popular one, EMA 26 minus EMA 14, but this could be any two sort of periods that you select. This is called the moving average convergence divergence. The reason it's called a moving average convergence divergence is because it shows you how the moving average, a short-term and a long-term moving average, is converging or is it diverging? Are they moving towards each other or are they moving away from each other? And based on this information, you can, understand something about the market. If they start to converge or if they ever overlap, is when you understand that the market might be going in one direction or the other. And if they're diverging too much, is when also you can, make a prediction that the market will go in a different direction. These are the three indicators we'll be forwarding. We'll not forward SMA. It was just the reason we understood SMA is because EMA depends on SMA. Mid prices, EMA, and MACD are the three things we need to forward to the LLM. The LLM will then respond with the positions that it has to take, and we'll go from there. For that, we will need the last, let's say, 50 candles from the LLM. The LLM will tell us the 50 candles. Based on those 50 candles, we will calculate the mid prices. Okay, so we will calculate the mid prices, we'll calculate the EMA, we'll calculate the MACD, and that's all we will need to forward to the LLM. Hopefully, that is clear. I think in the next section, let's code these up. We should first probably code, these indicators. So we'll write the logic to get the last 20 candles from the LLM or last 50 candles from the LLM and calculate these numbers and maybe print them on the screen. We'll go from there and, see how we can connect the LLM to it on one side, the exchange to it on the other side. If you look at the data from these guys, there are two broad set of indicators that they send. There is the intraday series, and then there is the long-term context, which basically means they send these indicators for the last 20 candles, considering those candles to be 1 minute or 3 minute candles. So like a shorter trend of the last 1 hour, and then also a much longer trend of the last 20 hours or 50 hours is also what they send. So they send this, all the mid prices, SMA, MACD, EMA, MACD, and for a smaller interval also, the last 20 minutes they send the same thing. This long-term and short-term sort of context tells the LLM, or helps the LLM make the final decision on whether it wants to buy or sell or long or short. Okay, so we'll basically write this up. We'll write both of these sort of indicators, everything over here and then everything over here, and sort of print them on the screen for, let's say, one market, just the Solana market. And then we can extrapolate that logic to BTC market, Ethereum market, whatever other sort of assets that they support. We'll see how many of these assets we support. We'll probably support the same. So, they support, I think, 6 assets. We'll also support the same 6 assets and go from there. Moving on to the next section. Alrighty, let's kick things off. I have signed up on Lighter. The link is app.lighter.xyz. As soon as you go over here, this is a decentralized perps platform, which means you will have to sign up using a decentralized wallet. They might have login with Google as well. Actually, let me quickly confirm that. But I would assume most probably they don't. In which basically means you'll need some sort of, they do have login with email. So you can probably just log in with email in case wallets seem a little foreign to you. But generally, I'd suggest, getting yourself an Ethereum wallet, which is free, and signing up using that. Once you do, you will have to on-ramp some money in here. So you'll have to send or deposit some money. The way to do that is click on the deposit button, and here is where things get tricky. Unless you have funds in another crypto wallet or a crypto exchange, it'll get tricky for you to put funds in here. For me, I was able to on-ramp funds here. So I have 100 USDC currently to trade with. Now I can create an account. So they have some sort of restriction. Only if you sign up and deposit some USDC, at least 5 USDC, can you create an account. I have created an account over here. If all of this feels out of your league because you've not dealt with the decentralized wallets, if you don't know what USDC is, then probably, do the same on a centralized exchange like CoinDCX or ZREX, Binance, whatever. But I'm going to use this perps platform to trade today, or whatever, write the the logic. This is what it looks like. This is the screen where we'll have all the tickers. Specifically, a few markets that we'll probably choose would be the top 6, I would say, BTC, ETH, Hype, Sol, BNB. If you look at the Sol chart right now, this is what the candles look like. But we want all of this data in programmatic format on a script. So what I'm going to do now is initialize a fresh project. Second, let me move my terminal here. A fresh project called AI trading or something like that. I'm going to open this in Cursor, which is the IDE of my choice. And I'm going to move Cursor over here. I'll create a fresh bun.js project. So bun init, yeah, I think this is fine. Followed by a bun add a few dependencies. The dependencies here are going to be, well, there'll be a bunch of them. Let's kick things off with just the lighter JavaScript SDK that I wrote a while back. I have not released this on NPM, so I'll have to clone this. But feel free to eventually, publish this to NPM and then just do a bun add. This is probably not the most optimal way to do what I'm doing. All right, we have the lighter SDK, lighter TypeScript SDK as a subdirectory over here, which means in index.ts I can import functions from the SDK. Specifically, to kick things off, we need the candlestick data, and I've also added a few examples here. I think I have the candlestick data in here. It's this one right here. So you can use this as an example to understand how do you get the candlestick data for a specific market. If you look at it, it's fairly simple. You import specifically just this candlestick API, which is a wrapper around a bunch of HTTP calls. This wrapper would let you hit a specific market. So you can, for example, hit the Sol market, which has an ID of 2, or a BTC market, which I think has an ID of 0, and then ETH market, which has an ID of 1, so on and so forth. You can tell it what time series data do you need. Do you need the 1-minute candles? Do you need the 5-minute candles? Do you need the 3-minute candles? Do you need the 4-hour candles? For us, I think what the arena that we saw, they do a 3-minute candle and they do a 4-hour candle. So these are the two that we'll try to fetch programmatically. What time do you want it from? So let's say you want it from the last, in case of a 1-minute candle, if you need the last 50 candles, we need the last 50 minutes of data. So this would be the current date minus 50 minutes. This would be the current date. And you can also provide how many candles do you need. In our case, we'll need the last 50 candles. So we can take these offsets to be a little bit more. Let's say the last, 2 hours. So the current date minus 2 hours to the current date, and only the last 50 candles is what we need. That's all the data that we're going to forward to the LLM. We don't really need 100 candles or 200 candles or 500 candles. So we can copy this code or you can write it yourself. And let's say let's replace this to take the market ID as an argument. Let me turn off cursor. And let me pass the Sol market ID for now. Let's see if it is able to return us the last 50 candles. Given this is 24 hours of data, we don't need that. Just in the last 1 hour, the latest 50 candles for the 3-minute data. And let's log that and see if we get something useful. The only thing is this will be dot/lighter TypeScript SDK /generated. Let's do a bun index.ts. Let's do a bun install followed by a bun index.ts. cd lighter SDK. This is why I should have packaged and published the thing on NPM. I have not done that. That's why we have this weird folder inside a folder. But I think this should still work. Bun index.ts returns us some bad data. It says 3-minute is not allowed. 1 minute, 5 minute, 15 minutes. All right, let's go with 5-minute data then. And if I look at 5-minute data, I do get back a bunch of candlesticks. Hopefully this is the latest 50 candlesticks. How can we confirm? Look at the last candlestick. It's at open 198.626 and close 198.929. So I can pretty much look at the latest candle here. 626, that looks right. And then close was around 929, which looks right. The one below it, before it, started around 198.845, ended around 198.626. 626 looks right, and 190.08, so 198.08, which looks wrong to me, but that's because this is 3-minute data and we were looking at 5-minute candles. So let's look at the 5-minute candles, and now this looks right. 199.0 to 199.619, 199.0 to 199.081 is what we have here, which looks wrong to me. High and then, sorry, close 626. And do we have 626 here? We do have closer to 626 over here. So perfect. That looks perfect to me. I think this is fine. Let's look at one more candle before it. The open should be 199.026. Close should be 199.072. Close 072. Open 199.03. 199.0. Let's see. Open is 199 point right here. It looks like 08. Yeah, it looks like 199.08. 0.03 would be here. Oh yeah, that is the open. 199.03 and closes at 199.08. 03 and closes at 199.08. That's perfect. So we do have the right candlestick data coming back. We have the latest 50 candles. The very first thing, if you remember on, again I keep forgetting the name of the project, 𝗟𝗶. The very first thing that we would send to the model would be the mid prices. This thing right here. So let's calculate the mid prices for the last 10 candles as the first thing. So after you get the K lines, const mid prices would be the last 10 candles. So K lines dot, how do you get the last 50? I don't know, splice 0, minus 10, I think, or slice 0, minus 10 should probably give me the last 10 candles. K lines dot candlesticks dot slice last 10 candles dot map. So open and close to open plus close divided by 2. Let's log it and see if the mid prices look fine. The mid prices look something like this, which doesn't look too wrong to me. They look like there are more than 10 here, which seems wrong. I think slice is incorrect. Then get last X elements JavaScript dot slice minus number of elements. So something like this. Let's try that. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Around the last 10 candles. Probably only need it until 2 decimal points. So dot 2 fixed should probably do that. That looks fine. There are strings and not numbers, but again, I think it doesn't matter for the LLM. So that's great. We're able to get the mid prices. What is the other thing we need? We need the EMA 20. The question is, how do we calculate the EMA 20? If you remember the formula, it looked something like this. The EMA 20 is price today into multiplier plus price yesterday into, EMI yesterday into 1 minus multiplier. So let's just create a function, probably in a separate file called indicators.ts, export function get EMA. Let's take the period as an input. So, period basically represents or, at params period. The EMA period for which the EMA is being calculated. So if you're calculating EMA 20, the input would be 20. The modifier or the multiplier would be 2 divided by period plus 1. We also need the candlesticks or the prices, I would say, which should be a number array. And given these prices, what we want is, if the array looks something like this, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're calculating EMA 3, let's say, then we'll first take the simple moving average of these two. So that's 1 plus 2 divided by 3, 1 plus 2 divided by 2, that's 1.5. And then we'll start to calculate the EMA 1, EMA 2, EMA 3. So we'll first take the prices.length minus period. Prices.length 5 minus period 3. 5 minus 3 is 2. We'll take the first two elements. We'll find the SMA amongst these two. And then we will apply the formula that's present over here, which is EMA today is equal to price today into multiplier plus EMA yesterday into 1 minus multiplier. Basically, the question is, how do you get the very first EMA? Because EMA today depends on EMA yesterday. So at some point, you need the very first EMA, which is just the SMA of all the candles that come before. So what can we do over here? We'll first say const SMA interval equal to prices dot length minus period. If SMA interval is less than 1, then return, or probably throw an error that says not enough candles provided, or let's just call them prices. But if we do get enough data is when we're going to first calculate the SMA. So const SMA equal to 0, or let SMA equal to 0 for let I equal to 0, I less than SMA interval I plus plus, SMA plus equal to prices of I, and then SMA divided by equal to SMA interval. What's the problem here? Prices of I would exist. Ugh. So let's just make it 0 if it doesn't exist, but it would definitely exist over here because I is less than SMA interval, which this thing will sort of check. Okay, we have enough elements in the array before that point. So even though TypeScript is complaining over here, it ideally shouldn't. If we use a for each loop, it wouldn't, but let's not go there. We have the SMA at this point. Now we can create a new EMA array. The very first element of which will be this SMA. This SMA is the simple moving average, is the very first element. And then we can calculate the next 20 EMAs from it. So for let I equal to 0, I less than period I plus plus. Now we'll start to calculate all the EMAs from here. So const EMA equal to EMAs of the last EMA. So EMAs of EMAs dot length minus 1 into multiplier into 1 minus multiplier, my bad, plus the price today. So that's going to be, oh boy, prices of SMA interval plus I. So we're going to take everything. The first n elements we have taken for the SMA, for calculating the SMA. Now we need the first n elements plus 0, plus 1, plus 2, like that, which is why it might be an I or it might be an I plus 1. I'll log and see eventually which one. But one of these we need over here into the multiplier. And again, this should exist. TypeScript is complaining, but let's just make TypeScript not complain here as well as here. And then EMAs dot push EMA. Console.log EMA. So let's just see. I mean, I've written this fairly ad hoc, but I think it should be fine. Don't need that. The get EMA function takes the prices array as an input. So that will look something like this, the last 50 candles in our case. So the last 50 mid prices. And we will first find the SMA until this point for the first prices.length minus period candles. So the prices.length is 50 and period is 20. For the first 30 candles, we calculate the SMA. that is what we consider to be the very first starting EMA. So the EMA's array gets initialized with the SMA of a bunch of candles that come before the final period elements. If the period is 20, if we're calculating the EMA 20, 20 से पहले के जितने भी elements हैं, whatever elements exist before the last 20 intervals, is what we use to calculate the SMA. That's the very first EMA. Then hopefully the formula that I've written is correct over here. And that will just help us calculate all the, in case of EMA 20, the last 20 EMAs. And then we'll just log it and also return it. EMAs. So this should return an array of numbers. And if I go back here, let me also create a function called export function get mid prices. So this should get mid prices given a bunch of candlesticks. That would be, so candlestick. I saw a type in the logs. I think this is the right type. That looks right to me. Array, and this should basically return what we wrote in index.ts, which is this map minus the slice dot map. Ooh, this looks wrong because it will be candlesticks, and yahan pe rather than doing this, I'll simply say const mid prices equal to get mid prices of klines dot candlesticks. That's it. Here, if you want, we can just get just the last 10, or we can just log mid prices dot slice minus 10 if you just want to get the last 10 elements. But let's just create a generic function that takes all the candlesticks and returns all the mid prices. So now we have all the latest 10 mid prices. We also have const EMA is equal to get EMA. The prices are going to be all the mid prices, and the period is going to be, let's say, 20. So let's just call it EMA 20s. Console.log EMA 20s. And here we get an error. String array is not. Yeah, I should probably convert this to a number. .toFixed converts the thing to a string. So let's just convert that back to a number, and that should do it. Hopefully, we now are able to log not just the mid prices, but also the EMA 20s, the last 20 EMA 20s. But again, I think 𝗟𝗶 arena only returns the last 10 EMA 20s, as you can see over here. So that is what we're going to sort of log. So we'll only log the last 10 EMA 20s. We're able to log the mid prices, log the EMA 20s. I'm unsure if this is correct, but let's see. This is the mid prices. This is the EMA 20s. If you look at the trend, it's gone up, it's gone down, it's gone down, it's gone down. And this seems to follow, and then it's gone up. I should write tests for this. I'm unsure if what the code that I've written is correct or not. So I should definitely write tests for get EMA, get some real data, and just make sure that this function does what it's supposed to do. EMA is done, mid price is done. The third indicator that's left is export function get MACD, which will take what as an input. It will take candlesticks as an input. So prices, which is a number array. And have they written what intervals they're taking for MACD? No. So I'm assuming most probably this is MACD with EMA 26 minus EMA 14. I think what is the common one? I think it is this only. Yeah, EMA 26 minus EMA 14. So the job of this guy is to find EMA 26, find EMA 20, find the difference between them. And that is what is considered to be the moving average convergence divergence. So const EMA 26 equal to get EMA for these prices with an interval of 26. EMA 14 will get the same thing with the interval of 14. Now this guy's final length will be 26. This guy's final length will be 14. So what we need to do is we need to basically get the last 14 candles from here and then subtract that from this, and then get the last 10 candles or the last 10 MACDs, which is what we'll forward to the LLM over here. I think these are 10 as well. Yeah, these 10 we'll get by first converting EMA 26 dot slice minus 14. We'll get the last 14 EMA 26s, and we'll const MACD equal to dot slice minus 14 dot map EMA 26 comma index. Yeah, and this should return EMA 20. I think let's just take the index EMA 26 of index minus EMA 14 of index. And again, TypeScript will complain here, but we know for a fact these should exist. As long as we're passing in 50 candles over here, we'll be fine. So we can actually just tell TypeScript to ignore these, and we're good to go. Return MACD. Const MACD equal to get MACD with the same set of prices, so mid prices, and then console.log MACD.slice the last 10 of these. That was simpler than I hoped for. I'm also not sure if this is right, so I'll write some tests just to ensure these indicators are correct. If they're not, then we're screwed anyways. Like, then irrespective of how good the model is, it will just perform really bad or perform really good. So we should write tests for these functions. I've written them fairly ad hoc. I've written a get mid prices function. This one is correct. Get EMA and get MACD. We should confirm okay, this is how they're actually written, because I'm unsure. I could totally be wrong on how I am interpreting these two indicators. Let's oopsie daisy. Let's try to run it. So we get mid prices, we get the EMA 20s, and we get the MACDs. MACD, is it supposed to be a number that looks like this? I don't know. I think it's between 1 and 100 or something like that. Let's see, model chat for Solana. What does it look like here? I think that should give us a decent idea. For Sol, what does the MACD look like? Minus 0.3, minus 0.3, something like that. For us, it looks something like this. That doesn't look great. Let me refresh. Let me go to model chat. Let me open the latest one. This is 303.58. That's like 1 minute ago. 1 minute ago for these guys, what did the Sol data look like? It looked something like this, 199.135. For us, it starts at 199.25. Let's just compare them side to side. And then 199.045, 199.21, 198.81, ours is 198.88, 198.635, ours is 198.83. So this looks pretty close to the mid prices here. EMA 198.305, ours is at 200. And then the next one is, yeah, the EMA calculation for us seems wrong. I could be wrong. It starts from 198.1, it goes up to 199.3 here. Here, the jump is a little too sudden. So that makes me feel I've not calculated these correctly. We'll see if that's the case or not soon. It ends at 199.21 and it ends here at 199.7, 198.7, so a little below that. This is like we're 0.5 up on all of these indicators, and we're not 0.5 up on all the mid prices, like 0.2 up. So it may or may not be correct. I don't know yet. All right, seems like I found the issue, but there is no issue. The problem might be, when they look at the intra-day series, they look at 3-minute intervals, and we look at 5-minute intervals, because Lighter doesn't give us 3-minute intervals. It only gives us either 1-minute intervals or 5-minute intervals. It doesn't give us 3-minute intervals, which is why the data is, the trend is similar, but it's a little different. If you compare the 4-hour data though, so if I changed the candle size to be 4 hours for the last, whatever, XYZ hours, then it looks very similar. If you look at the MACD or compare the MACDs now, 1.5 over here, 1.5 over here, 1.84, 1.86, 2.16, 2.14, 2.345, 2.36, so on and so forth. I've compared all 10 of them and they look very close. So our calculation is correct. The problem is we're taking 5-minute candles and these guys are taking 3-minute candles for the short-term data. Unfortunately, Lighter doesn't provide 3-minute data. in the candlestick. So we just have to roll with it. We can either select the 1 minute candles or the 3 minute candles or the 5 minute candles. Sorry, over here we cannot unfortunately select 3 minute candles. So our data, what we're sending to the LLM is unfortunately going to look a little different compared to these guys. Logic wise though, let me just take you through all three of the indicators one more time. When we calculate the EMA, we first take the period, let's say 20, and then calculate the SMA using the last 20 candles or the first 20 candles. And then from there, we calculate the actual EMA. So the SMA is calculated for the first 20 candles, and then we calculate the EMA. We take the last 10 EMA values and forward it to the LLM. For the MACD, we take the EMA 26, EMA 12. EMA 12 will be longer than EMA 26 because we're sending 50 candles over here or 50 prices over here. EMA 12 will have 50 minus 12 or 50 minus 12 prices, so that's 38. EMA 26 will have 50 minus 26, that's 24 candles. So EMA 12 will actually be longer. The array of the length of EMA 12 will be longer than EMA 26. So we just take the length of EMA 26, which in our case would be 24, and this would be 38. We just take this length 24, and then we subtract the corresponding values from EMA 12 minus EMA 26, and that's what we return over here. Looks very close, at least on the 4-hour candle, to the data over here. What we can do is we can actually check this for a different market like BTC. I think the BTC ID is 0. I could be wrong. I'm just assuming here honestly. If I do select the market ID to be 0, this looks like Ethereum data. 3,800. I don't think ETH is at 3,800, is it? ETH is at 4,300. What is at 3,800? I don't know. ETH is probably 1. So let's just change this to 1. And let's see what we get. Do we get Ethereum data? No, that looks like Bitcoin data. So that's perfect. Also, oh wow, that's a lot of candles. Oh, that's because I'm taking the 1 minute interval. Let me take the 4-hour interval. Try that one more time. So these are the last 20 prices in the 4-hour interval. Let's compare the MACDs. So if I open this and look at the Bitcoin long-term data, 598, 629, 717, 761, 822, 879, 928, 952, 1185, 1071, 1196, 1287, 1328, 1385, 1392, 1329, and the last one is, there are more than 10 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 here. What's the last one again? 1374, and ours is 1296. The one before that, 1392, 1329. Yeah, close enough. I would probably want to do this for one more Ethereum, let's say. So let's quickly try to get the market ID for Ethereum. It's a little weird how you get the market ID here. I mean, the way I have to do it usually is just refresh and inspect the requests that go out and then figure out, there you go, what the market, it is 0 indeed. So if I select the market ID to be 0, that is for Ethereum. If I run it, yeah, 4165 looks like the right price. And if we compare the MACDs, then it is for the long-term position 12.4, ooh, 7, that looks a little far. 21, 16, 29, 23, 32, 34, 46, 45, 56, 58, 66, 62, 60. I mean, like close enough, I guess. That's good. I'm going to assume that our logic is correct here. It could, of course, be wrong. It looks close enough for the long-term context. It doesn't look very close for the intraday data, but I think the reason for that is that our candle duration is different. Let's quickly log these for both the long-term and the short-term positions. So console.log, long-term position looks something like this. And then let's do the same for a short-term position. Let's just convert this to a function. Function get indicators for a specific duration, which in our case could either be 1 minute or could be 4 hours. Let's just do 5 minutes and 4 hours. and then we can just paste everything here. Let's make this an async function. Let's change this to duration, and let's change this to position duration, and then let's just log both of them. Get indicators for 5 minutes and 4 hours, and probably need to take the market ID as an input. Probably need to send the market ID over here. Over here. Market ID. Already perfect. Let's run that and hopefully we see. Oh boy, one thing we should change is this duration. We get a lot of data for the short-term position, which we don't need. Oh boy, it's going to be a little, okay. Duration is 5 minutes. Then we need not enough data. Probably 2 hours of data would do. But if not, then we probably need 96 hours of data. That looks right to me. And if I do this now, that looks right. A long-term position, a 5-minute position looks something like this. And a 4-hour position looks something like this. Given, and we should probably make it return. All of these, let's not log them anymore. Return mid prices MACD and EMA 20s, which I forgot to delete that. There you go. And let's just slice them to just 10 values. Both of these and mid prices as well. All right, that looks good. We have a function called get indicators. I can get rid of everything else. Let me export this function. Whose job is simple. The job of the get indicators function is to given a duration and a market ID, return these sort of indicators, the mid price, the MACD, and the EMA 20s. Now comes the second part, which is, let me just move this to a separate file called, should probably just be an indicators.ts, but let me call it stock data.ts, and let me just export this from here. Index.ts would just have, all the orchestration logic between the exchange on one side and the LLM on the other side. Next step is going to be funding our accounts, funding OpenRouter, probably sending these, writing all the LLM logic is probably next step. So next step, what I'm going to do next is introduce the Vercel AI SDK and start to forward these to the LLM, get a response or a tool call from the LLM if it wants to long or short. And then we, in the next part that comes after that, actually place the orders. So let's get into the next part. Let's do the LLM stuff next. All right, I actually forgot one thing before we move on to the main part, which is that I also need to get my current open positions. If I currently open a small long on Ethereum, then this is my position. The LLM is going to respond back with such positions, and we're going to open those positions over here. In follow-up requests, the LLM needs to know, okay, this is an open position. This is what you asked us to create, so that the LLM can perform on top of it. If the LLM wants, it might, might want to close this position, might want to rebalance this position. So for this account, I also need a way to gather all the current open positions. I think I've also written that in one of the examples. So let's quickly go through it. If you look at all the examples, one of them is getPositions.ts. This actually might not be the best thing, but I think it's fine for now. GetPositions.ts can do a call to this account API. So that'll probably be on /v1/API/v1/accounts. And this will probably return me my open orders. Let's see if that's the case or not. But this would probably require an API key from my account. Yes, abhi tak we've only dealt with open data that doesn't need to be authenticated. But if you want the open orders for a specific account, you need to have an API key for that account. Let me quickly show how to do that. Go to more or tools, click on API keys, and then add a new API key over here. Give it an index. I'm going to give it an index of 2. I'll have to sign this transaction. That means I'll have to connect my ledger. Let me quickly do that. Another transaction. And now I get a public key which I might not need, and a private key which I definitely need. I will get rid of this eventually. For now, I'm going to just keep it public so everyone, including you, can see it. I'm going to create a new file called positions or openpositions.ts, where I'm going to copy this function. I have the private key, and then let me copy the rest of the things, which is the code. Let me put this private key in a env file. Let me import it over API key, private key. So let me just name this to that. Account index. This is the index or the ID of my account, which again, there's no easy way to grab other than refreshing the page and then finding your ID over here. There you go. This one is probably it. That's my account ID. This is the, I don't think I need this. This is the API key index. In Lighter, you can create up to 255 API keys. You have to give each one of these an index. I've given it an index. I don't think you need this, the sole market ID. Now, if I run this file, one openpositions.ts, it gives me an error because the generated SDK is in /lighter SDK ts/generated. If I run it now, it returns me this. It says you have a position which is of this size. It doesn't tell me if it's a long or a short. Gives me the unrealized PNL as well. Gives me the value of the position and what price I entered at. Value probably means the quantity that I bought. I think, no, I bought 0.005 ETH. That is over here. Or value means the current position value of the position. So this number into the price. And what I'm really looking for here is if it's a long or a short. I don't see that here. I see this sign, which I think means if it's a long or a short position. So let me close this position. Let me buy a short now. And let's see if this sign changes from, yeah, it changed to -1. So -1 means it is a short. 1 means it is a long. Let me just change the output here to be return current open orders dot data dot accounts dot map symbol comma position comma sign comma unrealized PNL comma realized PNL comma maybe the liquidation price and just return these in a specific format. The format is not going to be this. It's going to be just the sign is going to be sign is 1 then long else short. Everything else looks fine to me. What's the problem here? Symbol doesn't exist on detailed account. It's account position what we got over here. Data accounts of 0. Oh, accounts. Oh, well, this returns the positions of all of your accounts. I might have multiple accounts. We will eventually have multiple accounts, one for every LLM. So this probably needs to take the account index as an input. And market ID, I think that's fine. And we can just return the account indexes positions in the specific format. Still I see an error, unreachable code detected. Dot map of this thing. Is there a return statement before this? No, there isn't. What's the problem here? symbol dot positions is an array of account position, which is a class, which is fine. All of these are public properties on that class. So, or you can't destructure elements from a class like this, can you? So let's just replace this with account position and then replace these with these. I still see a bunch of red squigglies, but this time I'm hoping they're solvable. Unreachable code detected again. Oh, there we go. That looks fine to me. Yeah, whoever calls this needs to call this with the right account index. Eventually, we'll have multiple accounts. Yeah, let's rename this to get open positions. And let's just call this one with once with the 0th account. This returns me the positions of the 0th account. Let me quickly try to create a bunch of other accounts. If I go to sub accounts, I only have one account right now. Let me quickly create another sub account called 𝗟𝗶, which might be one of the models that we deal with eventually. Probably will have to sign a transaction again. Oh, I don't have to. Let me create another sub account called DeepSeek. This is where DeepSeek would be trading. It'll have its own capital, and if one gets liquidated, the other will still sort of remain. Let me create another one. What is the other good one over here? I'll probably just deal with 3 LLMs by the end, and it's Claude. So let's name the third one to be Claude. And then let me quickly see if I can get the positions for the first account as well. It should be empty right now because I just created. Oh, hold on. Why do I get account index the same? Oh, because I'm logging this. I'm not logging the other thing. Let me do that. Undefined. 2 open positions, undefined. 3 open positions, undefined. Let me quickly create a position on the second sub account. Let me transfer like 10 or let's say $50 to DeepSeek. Let me sign the transaction. And now hopefully my DeepSeek account has $50. My main account has $50. Let me create. Okay, how do I change my sub account now? Oh, switch. There you go. Oh God, everything requires signatures. All right. Now this is my active account. Yeah, if I trade on this, create a very small position to let's say long or short, it doesn't really matter. Now I have this open position and I had an open position in my main account as well. Let's run this and just log all the accounts and hopefully we get back 2 accounts, the DeepSeek account and the original account. So there is one detailed account dot positions. This is still the, oh, I probably need to create a different API key for this one. API keys. Yeah. So we don't need the account index. We can just assume the 0th account is what has the data. And for different API keys, different positions will be fetched. So I was incorrect in thinking okay, this accounts of X is going to be the sub account. It is not. That also feels weird. Every sub account needs to have its own set of API keys. One sub account shouldn't be able to affect another sub account. So that makes sense. This should still be 0. It should not accept any arguments. We are exporting this function and we should be good to go over here. This is also not used anywhere, which is surprising. I'm hoping this is used. This is used indeed. Yeah, all right, that's good enough. Actually, should probably take the API key as an input because we'll eventually need this for all. a single process will call this function again and again with different API keys, one for the 𝗟𝗀 account, one for the Claude account. So we should take the API key as an input. The account index would still remain the same. So I think this is fine. Base URL would remain the same. So that is fine as well. Yeah, we're good to go. Let me just add one more thing here. Account index or this thing. And we should be good to go. Cool. Now that that is done, I think now we have everything. We have a function to get the open positions in a slightly more formatted fashion. And we have a function to get back, wait for it, to get back the open positions, a function to get back the stock data, which is this one right here, or the indicators. Now, given we have these two functions, we can tell the LLM and ask the LLM to do a bunch of things or trade on top of these indicators and my open positions. Let's get into that next. Let's now finally get into the LLM stuff. All right, the LLM part should be easy. I'm going to use the OpenAI SDK. Sorry, not the OpenAI SDK. I'm going to use the Vercel AI SDK with OpenRouter. Here is a small example of how I hope you know what OpenRouter is by now. Just go over here, sign up, put some money in here. So I've put around $20 in it. And now I can interact with any model using a single API interface. That is what OpenRouter, as the name suggests, provides you. You can use it independently. Tool calling becomes a little easy if you are using it with the Vercel AI SDK. So that's what I'm doing. I've added two dependencies to my code base. That's at OpenRouter/AI SDK provider and one add AI, which is the Vercel AI SDK. If you use both of these, if you use both of these, it becomes a little easy to interact with a model. Let me share how to do that exactly. I need all of this code to be handy because I need to eventually add a bunch of tools of our own. But the code that they provide, let's just read through that really quickly. Let's say you want to do an LLM call. You can do that. If you want to get the weather of a specific city through an LLM, you, number one, need to talk to an LLM. Number two, need to provide the LLM with the current weather data because the LLM unfortunately doesn't have access to it. Similarly, in our case, we need to allow the LLM to be able to open trades on our account, which is only possible if the LLM is able to interact with our backend. And there are various ways to do it. You can ask the LLM to return a specific response in a JSON format with the positions it wants to close and open. Or you can ask the LLM to do a bunch of tool calls. Tools are basically backend functions that the LLM can call based on what it wants to do. In our case, the thing that it would want to do would be to open positions or close positions. So we instantiate a new instance of OpenRouter using this create OpenRouter function that comes from at OpenRouter/AI SDK provider. That's because we're using the Vercel AI SDK. If you're calling them directly, then this becomes a little easier and hard at the same time. Tool calling becomes a little hard, which is why this is the approach that we're taking. Let me replace this with process.env.OpenRouter API key. We want to get a response from a specific model. So that should probably be, it is an input, it should have been an input as well. And we'll probably restrict ourselves to, 𝗟𝗀 or DeepSeek or Claude. These are the three LLMs that we're going to use. I need to get the exact IDs of these from OpenRouter. So let me quickly do that. So there is Anthropic / Claude 3.5 Sonnet. There is, where do I get all the list of the models? We need 𝗟𝗀. Sorry, QWEN, my bad. This seems like the best one or the biggest 110 billion tokens. It's probably going to be this. And the third one is going to be DeepSeek R1, which will probably be, I'm assuming DeepSeek/DeepSeek R1, something like that. How much is this? How many tokens is this? Is this the right one? Let's see. 128 billion tokens. That looks fine. It looks like the biggest one. Copy and paste. All right, these are the three models that we're going to support. The prompt is where we have to do most of our magic. So let me just get this from another file called prompt.ts. Export const prompt equal to, this is going to be really long now. You are an expert trader. You were given $1,000 to trade with. You are trading on the crypto market. You are giving the following information. I guess it'll just figure it out whenever we give it the indicators. So we don't have to provide that specifically. We have to tell it though. You have been invoked. Invocation underscore times. The current open positions are these. Your current portfolio value is this. Financial information for intraday 5-minute candles. And here we'll put the intraday positions followed by long-term 4-hour candles, long-term positions. And you have, in our case, we could also do JSON. We could ask it to respond back with JSON, or you can have the create underscore trade or the close underscore position. Actually, create underscore position and close position tools to create or close a position. You can open positions in one of 3 markets: BTC, ETH, and then SOL. You can only open one position at a time. You can open one position at a time. You can only get a position if you have enough money to cover the initial margin. That is not needed. You can only get a position if you don't need that. Yeah, let's get rid of everything else. This is good enough. We will, of course, enrich this prompt a little more eventually. For now, this is good. We have a prompt that we import over here. We just need to replace the prompt with a few things. Invocation times will come from a DB eventually. And also this will also happen for a model name and an API key, because actually we need a global function. Const supported underscore accounts equal to, we'll have 3 accounts. Account index ही था ना, no, API key, which is going to be API key underscore, let's say Claude name, which is the Claude account. These are our lighter accounts. I'm going to have an account for Claude, an account for Quen, and an account for DeepSeek. Account index is not needed, but the model name, what model to interact with, is needed, which is going to be this for the first one. Sorry, Claude Kirat is going to be this. I think that's good enough. And then we need a second one, which is going to be DeepSeek. Third one is going to be Quen. And the inputs are going to be, let's call this account array. And then let's create interface account, which looks something like this. We should probably not have this here. We should have this in a separate file called supported underscore accounts or something like that. accounts.ts is fine. Let's export this. Let's export this. And here we're going to say the function name is going to be invoke LLM, or invoke agent is probably a better word, and receive an account as an input. Nope. Here we're going to give it the account.model name. Before we talk to the LLM, we need to get all of our open positions, things like these, and all the indicators. So const indicators equal to get indicators. Let's call them intraday indicators, long-term indicators. That's fine. Const open positions is going to be this, and then in our prompt, I'm going to replace invocation times. We'll have to see. This will come from a DB. I'm going to keep this as 0 for now. Open positions. Okay, let's just put this in the next line so it's a little more readable. Open positions is we'll see how to format this soon enough. Boy, what is up with this? Then lastly, dot replace over here. And what's the problem here? Possibly undefined. Question mark here should do, and portfolio value. Oh boy, we need another endpoint, don't we, to get the current portfolio value. Yeah, shoot. I forgot another endpoint, which would be, let me just make it $1,000 for now. But eventually we need to get the current balance of the account, or the current, money that the account has, including the open position values plus the collateral that the user still has. And intraday indicators, what's the problem here? Long-term indicators. This looks fine to me. Yeah, this looks fine. Open a position in the given market. Open. That's the first tool that the LLM can call. And then there's another tool for closing the position, which we'll come to eventually. Return position opened successfully at an average price of, for this quantity, the symbol. That looks fine to me. We'll get the price quantity symbol soon enough. The inputs are going to be, price quantity symbol looks fine to me, but it will not be, probably not the price. It'll just be a long or a short. We don't care. We'll just place it at the market. Quantity is needed. Symbol is needed, and then side is going to be long or short. Leverage is going to be a number, which is, you need 5x leverage, 10x leverage, so on and so forth. That is good enough. Oh, sorry, this will be a z.enum of long or short. It's going to be an array, and leverage is a number, price is not needed. And here I'm going to replace these with these, and here is where I have to, the execute function will figure out soon enough. Let's do the same for closing a position. Close position should give us parameters. Oof. How do you cancel an order? I think I've written this as well. Examples. Cancel order. Oh boy, it's going to be really hard. Client.cancel order. Signer client. All right. I have to do a cancel order. Take some market index as an input. That's not great. The problem, not the market index, sorry. The client order index. Yeah, it's going to be really tricky. Canceling an order is going to get a little hard, but okay, I'll just ask it for the symbol. We'll tell the LLM in the prompt position, you can only close the position fully. You can't edit an existing position / close the position partially. I'll have to add this constraint. That's purely because when we are placing an order, it's very hard to find that specific position in order and cancel it. But closing the whole position is a little easy. So yeah, I'm going to stick to this for now. Yeah, actually not even this. You can open a position at a time. You can close all open positions with the close position tool. You cannot close / edit individual positions. All existing positions must be cancelled at once. Even if you want to create only to close one position, you must close all position one and then reopen positions that you want to keep. That looks fine to me. Yeah, now it's good. So close position can simply be, or close position doesn't need any inputs. An empty object is fine. And this should just call the cancel all function that we already have. This is fine. This is, you can call it create position. Create position, it should probably be called close all positions. Close all the currently open positions. Will not have any inputs. All positions close successfully. All right, I see a bunch of red squigglies. Oh, this shouldn't be called parameters. It should be called input schema. We should change that in the documentation. It's wrong over here. Is there a way to edit this page? This one right here. This is incorrect. It should have input schema as the argument here and not parameters. If there was a way to edit it, I would edit, because I've been stuck on this a few times. I don't see a way to edit it. All right. Cool. Create positions, position open successfully, and then close position. Okay, we do need the current price. Okay, let's just write the logic to open a position also over here. Thinking. Yeah, what we can do is, I think this is in the examples as well. There should be a create position or create order function. Let's see. Yeah, we need to put this. We haven't yet written this. We've written the logic to get the indicators and get the other thing, which is the open orders. Create position .ts we haven't yet created. So let's see. There should be a function called create position that will take the symbol side quantity. Leverage. Symbol side quantity is good enough. Leverage is something. Do we need the LLM to tell us leverage? Probably not. If you tell it already, kitna leverage hai, it'll just increase the quantity by that much. So I think we'll be fine if we don't ask the LLM to give us the leverage. Symbol side quantity is good enough. The other thing we need is the API key. Basically, the account is good enough, I think. Should probably take the account as an input here. We should create a new signer client with the base URL, which is fine. Private key comes as an input. So account.api key. What's the problem here? imported account from the wrong place. Let me just import it from the right place. There we go. Symbol string is, well, okay, this is where we need to add another thing to accounts.ts, which is, not just accounts.ts. Let's create a new file called markets.ts. Export const markets equal to BTC, which has, I think, ID 1 hai BTC key, and don't need any of this. Let's make it the market ID. Oh, we'll need a bunch of other things here, decimals and things like these. Decimals, let's say, I don't know what the decimal count would be here. Decimal is, people who have done trading know this, people who haven't done trading. When you forward an order to any DEX or a centralized exchange, you don't tell it you want to buy 1 BTC. You sometimes have to tell you have to buy this much BTC. This actually means 1. Or if you want to buy, it at a price of 100K, and then you have to give it a price that looks something like this. Basically, you have to give it an integer and not a floating point number. And what should you multiply by is what decimals represents. If decimals is 10,000, then if you want to place an order for 0.01 BTC, you'll actually place an order for 0.01 into 10,000, which is 100. If you want to place an order at 100K, then you will actually place an order at 100K plus 4 zeros. So the decimal field, which we'll have to see what it is for BTC, ETH, and SOL, represents how much do you need to amplify the quantity and the price by. This looks good to me. I think ETH ka market index was 0, and then SOL was this thing. In the prompt, I should probably tell it BTC ETH SOL. That's fine. Symbol and identifier. Actually, I don't have to tell it here. In the tool call, which was done over here, BTC ETH SOL. That looks fine to me. But actually, yeah, it was telling me the right thing, the LLM, which was markets.keys. That looks fine. Object.keys of markets looks better. Long short and the number. The quantity to open the position at. The quantity of the position to open. Doesn't need to be multiplied by the decimal, but let's not specify that here. Coming back to create position.ts, account symbol side and quantity. API key index is sort of kept it as 2. We should just define it in a single place though. So I'm going to create another file called config.ts, where I'm going to export this. And I think there was another place we were using this, which was close order or cancel order, where we should probably just import this. And private key, is it needed at all? What is this main function? Wait, this is the wrong file. My bad. This is an example from the SDK. What was our file that I just wrote for canceling an order? Create position and then accounts.ts. No, that's not the one. Stock data, that's not the one. Open markets, indicators, create position. Which one was it? Open positions. There you go. This needs to be imported. Perfect. Hold on. Is this the account index or the API key index? Oh, sorry, it's the account index. Could have sworn there was an API key index. Never mind. Even the account index needs to be in config.ts. These are 9677. That looks fine. So let's just import that from the config. All right, we're good to go. Coming back to create position.ts, इसको हटा देंगे यहाँ से. Sold market ID not needed. API key index is going to be API key index from config. Account index is going to be account index from config. This is a very interesting and important thing that we need to worry about. We actually probably don't need to worry about this because the function bar call hoga. If I define this outside, basically is where this could have been a problem. If I'm defining it inside, an optimistic nonce management type is fine. Market ID looks fine to me, and this will exist. Then we select the client order index. This is the interesting part, which we will need when we eventually cancel orders. When we eventually cancel orders, the client order index is needed. When you open a position or open an order, you give it a client order index, a client order ID. When you want to close that position, you have to repass that client order index. What we can do is we can have it to be 0 for all BTC orders and have it to be 1 for all ETH orders. Usse kaam abhi chal jayega. Even though that's a slightly more ugly way to do it, but I'm just going to do it for now. So if you go to markets, client order index is 0, and for all the ETH orders, I'm going to have it as 1. For all the SOL orders, I'm going to have it as 2. And then I can simply do the same thing over here. Base amount. Okay. Now comes the most interesting bit. Firstly, we should just do this. Const market equal to this. Market index is fine. Client order index is fine. Base amount. Ab LLM हमें क्या देगा? LLM will give us 1 SOL. You probably need to multiply it by a number, and I'll have to check what this number is for all of these 3 markets. The same is true for the price. The LLM will. Oh, price is just a. Fuck, we have to create a market order, right? Not a limit order, but create order, unfortunately. Oh. Writer SDK. Create order is a limit order and not a market order. Create market order. Is there one? Oh, there's a mail. It's not there. Alrighty. Here we can basically put obnoxious prices if you want. Yeah. There's another way to do it. We can create a market order, but let's not go there. Here we will have to take an obnoxious price. So I'm going to add another field here called obnoxious price, which is going to be, let's say, 300 for Solana. Basically, a price at which an order will definitely be available is this obnoxious price. And then obnoxious price for, oh, wrong place. I'm thinking if I want to do this the cleaner way. I want to, I just don't have the time, which is why I'm doing it the wrong way. Obnoxious price 300, no, for BTC it's probably 200K, 200,000. For ETH, obnoxious price is probably $7,500. Very low probability it reaches this price in the next 10 days. And for SOL, the obnoxious price is going to be, let's say again, $350. Very low probability it reaches this price in the next 7 days is when we're going to have the bot active. The reason I'm doing this is because there is no way to create a market order. At least I haven't exposed that in the SDK. I can only create a limit order. When you create a limit order, you have to give it a price. कि मैं इतने पे खरीद लूँगा. If it's lesser, great. But I'm willing to buy it at this price. So that's why this is an obnoxious price that I'm putting over here. So that I place a limit order, but it's at an obnoxious price, so it will get matched at the best price that is currently available. Is ask is a beautiful thing, which will come from the side. Side will either be long or short. So this is going to be, if it is long, then it is a bid. That is So that looks wrong to me. I think it will be like this. If it is a long, then it will be a bid. I am bidding to long, right? Let's see, let's confirm that. I'm pretty sure that is true. Where is lighter? Let's see, for the Solana market, if I select a specific price and I click on long, sorry, what was I think I was buying out long or short. So if I am buying or longing, I can select a price, right? So this is a bid. Is asked will be false. My bad, it was correct. If it is a bid, then it is for a long, it should be a bid. So is asked should be false. That is true. Order type. Oh, there you go. Can I just make this and are we good to go then? Fuck, there was an order type. I didn't need any of the obnoxious price things. Cool, time enforce is fine, reduce only is fine. Trigger price not needed. Order expiry 28 days from now is fine. And just export the function. That should create a new position. And accounts.ts, or sorry, index.ts may, all I have to do is call this. Leverage is not needed. And here I will do a create position. Account, symbol, side, and quantity. This should probably return me the price and the average price at which the order was placed and everything. I'm not worrying about that yet. Close all position also becomes very easy now because I can simply call close position. Do I have a close position or cancel order? I don't have a function of my own to cancel order, but I have an example here. Cancel order, this thing. That looks fine to me. Let me create another function here, another file here to cancel order. Export function cancel order. Come on, give me all the imports quickly. Base URI also needs to be in the config. Private key is fine, account index is fine, API key index is fine, nonce management is fine. Cancel for the specific market ID where, oh, ugh. Const markets object dot values of markets for every market that we have. Cancel all orders. For every market that we have, I want to cancel order for that market ID using that client order index. Is that the right thing that's done over here? Market ID client index, that looks perfect to me. The only problem is this looks like an object here. And this doesn't look like an object. Oh boy. Is the example over here incorrect? Looks like it's incorrect. Yeah, the SDK example looks incorrect, but either way. This is fine then. We'll see if it works or not. Maybe it doesn't work. That's it. That should do it. If I come back here, not here, in index.ts, cancel all orders for the specific account and close all positions is what needs to be returned. So I think I've done everything. I still need to see the prompt. Oh, the prompt is missing a few things. The number of invocations is incorrect, but everything else is fine. Tools, it has a create positions tool. It has a close all positions tool. This tool would actually create the position. and return this, this tool would actually close the position and return this. All right, let's change the prompt a bit. Oh, one big thing I'm missing right now is when you create an order, is this the right one? Yeah. Also, base URL should now come from config.ts. This, we need to confirm this. How do you pass the quantity over and how do you pass the price over? So for that, I'm basically for every market going to place some orders and see what price and quantity they pass over here. So for this Solana market, if I place an order for, let's say, 0.1 Sol and look at the network tab, click on place limit order at 193.742. The transaction that I send has, let's see, the payload as base amount 100.1. So the decimal is probably 1,000. 193,742, 193,742. Yeah. So the decimal is 1,000 for Solana. For the market index 3, right? Let's see, what is the Solana market index? It is gone. 2, my bad. Solana market ID is 2. Let's go to Ethereum. Let's place a small Ethereum order as well. Let's close the old one. It's down 14%. Oh, it's a old order. My bad. This is an open order that I'm going to close as well. For Ethereum, I'm going to now again place an order at some 3,900 price. So let me just select 3,000 here so the position doesn't open. At 3,000, I want to log, let's say 0.1 ETH. Place limit order. And if you look at the transaction that is sent, the price is 3,000 into 100 and the quantity 0.1 ki jagah is 1,000. Oh boy. So we basically need two sets of decimals. We need the price decimal and then we need the quantity decimals. The price decimals here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 600. The quantity decimal here is 1,000, 0.1, so that's 4 zeros. And here both were 1,000. Now let's see what Bitcoin provides us with. Let me close this open order. For BTC, if I think it's fine. Try to place a limit order at, let's say, 100K. 100K with the quantity of 0.1 तो मैं कर ही नहीं सकता शायद 0.1 भी नहीं कर सकता 0.01 कर सकता हूँ. Place a limit order. If I look at the request that goes out, so that's 0.001 and then 100K. At 100K, so 001 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Quantity ka to it is 5 zeros. And price decimal is, okay, what's the price here? 100, 1, 2, 3. 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10. Price decimal is 10. That should do it. And the market ID was 1, right? For BTC, the market ID is 1. Perfect. For Ethereum, the market ID is 0. All right. I think we're good to go. I think we're sending the right inputs now. Let me close this. Let me change the prompt to tell it, hey, you've only been given $50, not $1,000 to trade with right now. Only $50. Thank you. With these $50, the LLM is supposed to trade. And we do have $50 here, I think, in my portfolio. I do have $50. If I go to tools and API keys, I don't have an API key yet for this 𝗟𝗀 account. I think I currently am in my 𝗟𝗀 sub account. Let's see API keys. Sorry, sub accounts. I'm currently in the DeepSeek, my bad, DeepSeek account, which has some $49. I need to go back here. I need to go back here, generate an API key, add the account index of 2. Oh God, I need to sign this. Never mind. Let me just do the first sub account. So let me go back to my sub accounts, select the first one. I already have the API key for this here. Let me rename this to ts API key Claude. Yeah, this is very confusing. This is not the Claude API key. This is a lighter Claude account API key. So I should rename this to something else. It's fine for now. And now let me do a supported accounts of 𝗟𝗶. I also need to add the OpenRouter API key. So let me go to .env. Let me create a new OpenRouter API key, which will come from here. You guys can see it right now. I will change it. Delete this ASAP. Copy it, paste it, and I think we're good to go. I mean, I don't know if we're good to go. Let me just log this for now. Let me not create a position. Let me not cancel the orders. Let me just log. Console.log, position successfully created, and then console.log, all positions closed successfully. And my portfolio value is 50 to begin with, and we'll slowly introduce the database to track the invocation times and the portfolio value. Let's do a bun_index.ts and let's see what happens. Did I call the function? I did not. So let's call also invoke agent once with the very first account. That is the Claude account, and let's see what the Claude account responds back with. This is fine. Wait for it. The indicators were calculated. That's where these logs came from. And I'm just waiting for the tool calls. No tool calls. Interesting. Return console.log as well. Wait for it. Position opened successfully for 0.004 ETH. All positions closed successfully right after. That is not great. Like it opened a new position to long ETH. Great. But then it just closed all the open positions immediately after, which is not great. I probably need to log a bunch of other things now. Let me go to consideration. We have a short position in ETH currently open. No, you don't. Looking at the price action, intraday shows slightly upward trend. Long term shows like a significant downward trend. We already have. We have a short position. We might have one. Let's see. Trade. Oh, we do have a short position. It wasn't incorrect. It's down 19%. We do have one. Okay, let me close that. I don't recommend making any changes. All right. Now let's try that one more time with no open positions. Abhi, there was an open position. But let's say I do the same thing now with no open positions. You're probably long ETH at this point. I'll recommend opening a small position in ETH. And if you look at, there are no tool calls that happened though. Oh, position opened successfully for 0.0125 ETH. Do we have enough margin for that? So 0.0125 ETH. We might not. 0.125 into 4,000. Yeah, it's like $50 exactly, which is not great. It should, probably send a more conservative position. But it's actually also not $4,000. We could have actually opened that position. Let's just uncomment and let's just see if it actually creates the position or not. All right, moment of truth. Okay. All positions closed successfully, followed by the prompt. And then, oh, it only sent a request to close the position, which probably means there's an open position. There isn't. No transaction data returned from signer. This is not great. Yeah, we'll have to figure out. I'll basically have to update the lighter SDK now to support market orders. There is no other easy way to fix this, unfortunately. The good thing is, it shouldn't be too hard for me to support market orders. Let me spend some time there, update the SDK, make an open source contribution to my own repo, and then go from there. Let me just close this order. And yeah, let me be back in, I don't know, probably 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, I'm going to update the lighter SDK. Once I do that, we should be able to get support an order here that is of type market. Right now, we only support limit orders. All right. I'm going to do that really quickly and be back. All right. That took a long time. There were a few things that I had to change. I'll take you through everything that I've changed in the last 1 hour or so. When creating a position, the thing that was wrong before this was, if you remember, we had this thing called the obnoxious price for every market. We don't need that anymore. But what was happening was, even if you place a market order, if you place it at an obnoxious price, right? If you say I want to buy Solana and I'm willing to buy it at $7,500, in that case, if you get Solana for $300, the order goes through. But if you say I'm willing to sell it at $7,500, but the current price is 200 or 300, the engine wouldn't let it through. Even though it's a market order, market orders are supposed to just go in at any price. There's still some slippage that the engine would have. You can probably change that slippage over here, but by default, the slippage would probably be 1%. So I can't just give an obnoxious price over here, which is what we were doing before, because if I give it an obnoxious price, even though it's a market order that we're placing, it's not a limit order. The market order wouldn't go through if the price is too far off from the current price. So what I've changed over here is, can I get the current price using the candlestick API that we already had? I basically, oh, that's the wrong one, sorry. Create order is over, create order or open position. Yeah. If you look at the, this one, if you look at the create position.ts file now, before sending an order to create a position or create an order, I first get the latest candlestick using the candlestick API that we already had. 1 minute chart, just one candle, and we get the current price. The close over there would just tell us what is the latest price at which Solana was or Ethereum was bought or sold. And when we're placing the actual order, we, based on if it's a long or a short position, we take a price slightly more or slightly less. If it is a long position, I tell the trading engine, I'm placing a market order and I'm willing to pay the current Solana price plus a little bit more. And if I'm shorting, if I'm selling, I tell the order engine, okay, I'm willing to get back the current Solana price or a little bit less. Earlier, we had an obnoxious price over here. So when you would say I want to buy, or when you would say I want to sell at $7,500 when Ethereum is at $4,000, it wouldn't let you place a market order because the delta is too much. And there's only a little bit of delta that it would allow you to have, irrespective of it being a market order. So that's the one thing that I changed. The second thing that I changed was in the cancel function, in the cancel order function, not this one again, not this one. Earlier, I was just calling a cancel function that I exposed from the lighter SDK. There's nothing wrong with that. Also, you can do that as well. The problem there was we were placing cancel orders for markets in which we did not have any open orders as well. We just had a for loop over here. What I've changed that to is I first get all the open positions that we currently have. We already had written this function that gives you all your open positions, basically everything present over here, all of these open positions, and we just place an opposite order for those open positions. So if there was a 10x long with a quantity of 1 on Ethereum, we place a 10x short for the quantity 1 for Ethereum, so that the order just cancels. What do we do? Rather than cancelling an existing order, because there things get a little tricky with the IDs that you're sending. If you remember, we had this concept of client order index. We don't need that anymore because earlier I had this so that I could keep track of what I need to send when I'm canceling an order. Now, I don't really cancel an order. I just create an opposite order. If there is a long that is present in my open orders, I just create a short that ends up canceling the position over here, and the order sort of goes away. That is the second thing that I've changed. I've tested both the functions. They seem to be working. Let me show you what the script does right now. So if you look at bunindex.ts, it's still the same function. We still have to change a few things. I've hard coded the invocation times and the portfolio value right now. We do need to change that. But other than that, if I do a bunindex.ts now, you will notice it is number one, able to place trades. Let's see what the AI responds with and whether or not that trade gets created. The AI responded to something. That specific trade was created over here, 0.1250 ETH short. And if you look at the response, it will probably tell you something similar. Take a short position on ETH. The tool call is not logged over here, but I'm assuming it just has to do a 10x short on Ethereum with this much quantity, 0.1250 ETH. And then we can wait for a long time, a short time, doesn't matter. This time when we run the script, the LLM will also be aware of the current open orders and it might cancel this order. I really would want for it to cancel this currently open order so that I can, see the cancel order. I can show you the cancel order function is also working. Let's see if that happens. So right now it responds with I will not make any changes in the trades. Just to show you that the cancel order function actually works, I can actually call it over here. If I call cancel all orders and run it again, as you saw, the order sort of went away from here. So whenever the tool call for canceling an order happens, we can see it does work as well. Now, this pretty much works now. I can run a cron job that runs this every 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It will have access to the open positions. It will have access to, it doesn't have access to the portfolio right now. One thing I would like to add over here is making the LLM aware, okay, this is your current profits and current losses. So your net portfolio position is something I would like to return. I'm unsure what endpoint we'll get that from. That's one thing to add. The second thing is a bunch of database logic. I need to log everything to a database, what positions were taken at what times. And then we need to maintain a time series graph of what is the portfolio at, let's say every 5-minute intervals. So we can create a graph finally to track how the position is performing. Let's do that next. Let's get into basically some fairly standard Web2 stuff. We'll add a database, we'll add Prisma, we'll write the schema for it, we'll write a process that is constantly logging the candlesticks. And then eventually we'll write a front end that, lets you display the candlesticks and the portfolio positions. One more thing I've done is I've on-ramped around $3,000 to this account. So by the time this deposit finishes, we will have 3,000 accounts. We already have 3 sub accounts over here. We have 2 of them. Let me add another one for Claude. I'll just put $3,000 in all 3 of these. And once we do that, we'll just let the script run overnight and we'll see where we reach tomorrow. All right. I'm going to move to the database logic next. All right. Time to code things we're already good at. That's Web2. So let's quickly add Prisma as a dependency. Let's start Docker locally. Let's do a bunex Prisma init. Let's write the schema for our application today. There we go. Oh, Prisma keeps changing very quickly. Model. There would be a. There should be a well, a model called models with the ID name created or updated, that is fine, and maybe lighter ID as well, lighter market ID. Basically the, oh boy, the models, sorry, what was it? Accounts. Basically this array should probably be part of this thing, model name string API key. Should it be in the database? Probably. I don't hate that idea. Yeah, I'm going to eventually we're going to replace this in-memory object with the database, so we can eventually add more models directly to the database, and it just works. Models and accounts are sort of synonymous here, so this API key is, we should write lighter API key here, otherwise it will get a little confusing. Oh God. Then it would be probably not transaction, what would we call them? Invocations. Every time the model is invoked, we add an ID over here, model ID, and response, and this will have a foreign key relationship to model, and every model will have multiple invocations. Yeah, invocation count is something we should have, and invocations is also something we should have. It should be an invocations array. This will be a model with a foreign key relationship, and that looks fine. Last thing, every invocation will have a bunch of we can call them tool calls. So enum tool call type would be one of two: create position, close position, and every invocation will have a bunch of tool calls. That's too many things here. Tool call type, invocation ID, and then just some metadata. That's basically what the model sort of gave us. The model told us to open a position at a specific price. Then that will be stored in this metadata field. Every invocation will have a bunch of tool calls. Every tool call will belong to an invocation, and that is it. There's nothing else that we need over here. I think that should do it for the schema. We have the models that we support, the invocations that every model has done. This should definitely have a created at. When was the invocation started? Every invocation will have a bunch of tool calls. Tool calls can be of one of two types, either create a position or close a position. That's all that we need. Other than that, we need time series data. So let's do that as well. Model portfolio size. For every model, there will be a portfolio size, which will be like a time series sort of a database that will have, time series table that will have all the, I'll call it, the size is the wrong word for it, probably net portfolio, which can be an integer, can be a string. Integer is fine, I guess. It can't be an integer, it needs to be a float. So I'd rather just have it as a string. Created that should do it. This will be used separately by a separate process that's just constantly calculating the price of the positions over time, how much money your model has made in the last, since the beginning. We can use a time series database over here. We don't need to though, which is why we're just keeping things simple. This is where the portfolio size is tracked over time, and everything above is just for, everything else. If you want to track what invocations happened and what happened during those invocations, that will be stored over here. Let's start a Postgres table locally really quickly. So Docker, I hope I have a, there we go. It's hoping for a command that will let me start Postgres locally. While that starts, let me go to the env file and let me quickly change this to be Postgres, Postgres at localhost colon 5173, sorry, 5432, my bad. I think that's it. Let's do a 1x Prisma migrate dev to migrate our database. So we have all the entries in the table that did not happen. Missing required variable. This is the wrong .env file. No, that looks like the right one. Let's try that one more time. cat.env. That looks fine to me. Let's try to migrate it. Database underscore URL. Postgres colon slash Postgres as local. Oh wait, not that this is the error, but AI. Missing database URL. What the hell? Schema or Prisma. Missing variable database URL again. Missing something very obvious here. What could it be? Fine. Probably isn't picking it up from, so export database underscore URL equal to. One thing I don't love about Prisma is how quickly they change things that they're doing. Okay, so this time it worked. Index of an unknown field, which is fine. I can get rid of that field. Portfolio size, the portfolio model ID is good. There is a foreign key relationship that we need. Other than that, we're good. What's up now? Portfolio size ID. Portfolio size ID. Every model will have a one-to-many relationship with this guy. So portfolio size will be a portfolio size array, and will be model. That looks fine to me now. Database has migrated. Let's quickly add the three models in here. Let's add one for now. Add a record. Name is going to be Claude. Lighter market ID. Lighter market ID for a model is not needed, is it? I don't think this is needed. Yeah, that looks wrong to me. Let me remigrate the database. Remove unnecessary field. Let's do that one time. Claude model name. Claude lighter API key is the one that I had hard coded in here. And invocation count will be 0 for now, and everything else is fine. Why can't I save these changes? Add record, Claude, key, save. There we go. That should do it. Now, what I'm going to do is in index.ts, actually in a bunch of places, but at least here I should not use this. Where all is this being used? Oh, only in one place. Okay. Toki, I'm going to get rid of this, and what I do is let me write a function main whose job is simple. Const models equal to find all the models that exist in the Prisma client. So import Prisma client from dot slash, oh boy, generated. Did I choose the wrong? No, okay, it's fine. Generated slash Prisma slash client. There we go. Const Prisma equal to new Prisma client. Go back to the bottom. Prisma dot models dot find many, and then for models of models, or models dot. Do you want to do this? No. Cost model of models, that looks better. I am going to now call invoke agent with the model. I see no type errors because the expected input here is API key name, model name, API name, model name, and API key. Now this is lighter API key. This is the only difference. Why don't I see a type error here though? Oh, okay, let me just change this a little bit. API key, model name, and name. Okay, one big thing that I messed up was model name is this OpenRouter model name. Alrighty. Now can I get rid of this? Is this being used at all? It isn't. Let's get rid of this. That should be good enough. The main function should now do what it's supposed to do, hopefully. Invocation times would now become, oh, it would just be invocation count, right? So, yeah, it's fine. Let's just re-get it over here. Const, actually, yeah, I'll just add that over here. Invocation count will become part of this guy right here, and that is exactly what we will pass over here. That looks good to me. Portfolio value, this is the one thing we still need to fix, and we'll do that soon enough. This isn't part of the database, this is part of the lighter SDK, so we'll get to that soon enough. Before any of this happens, should we, yeah, we should probably create const model invocation equal to create a new invocation for a specific model ID count dot ID also needs to be sent here. Create an invocation for a specific model ID. Hardcode the response to an empty string, that is fine. And now, whenever there is a tool call to close all positions, we will cancel orders, yes. And then we will also create a new tool call for the specific invocation ID. That looks perfect. And whenever there is a tool call to do this, is when we will create a new invocation ID with symbol side and quantity. And then finally, when we have the response, we will update the invocation to update the response. Perfect. Thank you, AI. And that happened fairly quickly. Let me call the main function. Let's see, when the main function is called, does the agent get invoked? And do we log everything in the database or not? So let's do we're running before this. One index.ts. Oh boy. Cannot find runtime/library. Okay. Yeah, I don't love Prisma anymore. Prisma client one. I hope this documentation is up to date. /prisma/db. What's wrong over here? Can't find 1x Prisma generate client/runtime/library from someplace. Pretty sure this is a Googleable error, which is what we will do. And the response says what the hell? This will not work. This is what Prisma got changed to, but ever since then it's not working. Okay, there we go. /Prisma client from, oh, you don't need this for Postgres though, do you? Prisma Postgres one. This is what scares me. This is something that you didn't need to do before, but seems like you need to do now. Let's see. Maybe this was it. Yeah, this was it. Alrighty. Wait for it. Do we have a long? Do we have a short? What do we have, sir? Something we have. I removed all the logs. So I don't know what happened. Seems like it is a, I don't know, we'll see. It is a long that we created on Ethereum, a $500 value valued transaction. Great. Now comes the bigger question: was any of this logged to the database? And hopefully it was. We look at this guy, and if we open the invocations, we have one invocation which returns everything. We've logged it over here. Beautiful. It had one tool call, which is great. It also looks something like this. It had everything. We have everything we need, folks. Everything is being logged into the database. What's left is filling the portfolio, for which we need to understand how do you grab your portfolio from this guy. Oh, well, haha, the good thing is we have a button we can click and then inspect a bunch of things over here. What the hell? How do I not have $3,000 to begin with? Oh, because $50 is something else. Never mind. Anyways, what I was saying was P&L, my index, public pools, portfolio. Seems like this is the one. No, this isn't it. Let me clear everything. Let me go back to trade and then come back to portfolio. And do we see anything? I see public pool metadata. This is nothing. P&L, trade P&L timestamps. It still doesn't give me my portfolio. It returns me various P&L, which is what I don't need right now. I need my portfolio. I just need this number. Trade equity is also good enough. If I get this, I will know the current balance. Question is, where does it come from? Probably comes from here only. No, this isn't it. This is, refresh the portfolio page. Probably is this only then? Accounts, index. No. 4 accounts. Beautiful. Available balance. Haha. That sounds easy enough. Yeah, that wasn't too difficult. Okay. Okay. One more thing we need. Index is there. Account type 0111. Index, and then index are crazy after this. This is the index for this guy. This is the account index for this guy, which is weird, but we don't really care. Okay, sounds good. So what we need now is each one of these will also have an account index. What was the field again? Available balance. Does this guy have an available balance? Perfect. So one more thing we need, guys, is the following. We need another field in the Prisma.schema, which will be called the account index. So every model will have an account index, which will be an integer is fine. It can also be a string. It's a pretty big integer, so I'd probably just stick to string for now. And I would like to replace the model name with OpenRouter model name, so it's just easy to understand. Yeah, if I open models, yeah, model name needs to be OpenRouter model name. It's a better name for it. Let me copy this and keep this handy. Let me migrate my database one more time. Again. Oh, there's no default needed for this guy. Okay, what I'm going to do is get rid of this guy. It shouldn't be very easy because I need to first get rid of this guy. Oh, I don't have the studio open. Let me open it. Dismiss. Open this guy. What the hell? Yeah. Okay. Let me get rid of. This and this. Now let's do it. Okay. Delete. Yeah, it won't delete because oh god. I'll have to first delete the two calls, then delete the invocations, then delete the model. Yeah, it's fine. Then migrate the database again. Then open the studio again. Now re-add the models again. So add record. Oh wait. Add these two fields. Re-migrate the database. Re-studio, followed by finally discard changes. Add a new. Something is up here. I don't see the model name anymore. Discard changes. Bro, the hell? Okay, add that. There we go. Add a record. Going to call it Claude. This was this. Lighter API key is this. invocation count is 0. Account index, beautiful, is what is the Claude account index? Let's just use this one for now. We can change that eventually. Good enough. Now comes the question of getting the portfolio balance, which, as we saw, was as simple as hitting. Oh boy. So public endpoint. Yeah, it is. Okay, that is fine. We have another thing to add, folks. This is going to be L1 underscore address. This is my, it's basically my layer 1 blockchain address. It's basically my primary address. Whenever the blockchain becomes a little more open, you can explore them on the Explorer. You can explore my account over here. Why we need this is because this is good enough, or all that you need to get the portfolio of a user by hitting this endpoint. So I can simply hit this endpoint now, create a new file, probably get, excuse me, I'll call it get portfolio is what I'll name it. Get portfolio .ts. Yeah, every account will now also have a one. Yeah, we'll call it an account index. Const response equal to await axios.get. Oh wait, actually can do this also by account underscore index, and value would be value would be, wait for it, let's say I do this. Oh, index, my bad. Fuck yeah. So yeah, we don't need the fancy looking L1 address anymore. It will be as simple as doing this. Perfect. And Axios and return accounts of 0 dot available balance has. Actually, available balance is not the right thing. Yeah, unfortunately, available balance is not the right thing. Or is it? No, actually, we'll see. Give me a second here. Oh boy, this is going to get really hard now because I need to re-authenticate, I think. Oh no, I don't. This is my net equity. Oh boy, this is across all accounts. This is a little scary now. Oh no, this is not across all accounts. My bad. This is the main account. Let me open an order. Let me place, a fairly small position. To, let's say, long. Place market order, portfolio. Now if I look at this, there you go, $100 difference. Available balance and total equity. Question is, what was the ID of this guy? Headers and this one right here. And where do I see $2,900? Do I see them in available balance? Probably not. Yeah, that's 2,800. Collateral is the one that we're looking for. So dot, no, we don't need any of that. Accounts of 0. Accounts of 0 dot collateral. That's good enough. Yeah, we're good. Perfect. That returns a string only, वैसे. And we're good. That's done. Let me close the position that I had opened a while back. Boy, I'm down $3. $4. I should have asked the AI. All right, that's done. Close. Now comes the best part. The LLM can now actually know the current balance. So const, perfect. Portfolio equal to get portfolio of account. And this portfolio is what we're going to forward through the LLM. And then we're good to go. Are we? I think we're good to go. The one thing that we need to add now is the tracker that will actually track the time series data over time. I'll add that as well very soon. Right after, not right after, let's just complete it. Let's create a new file here called price tracker.ts, which is basically going to be a set interval, and it's going to find all the models. Yeah, so perfect. But this needs to change a little. It looks fine. Dot at create data model ID net portfolio. This is perfect, and then time automatically add ho jayega. Yeah, this needs to run every 5 minutes is fine, I guess. Every 2 minutes is also good. Every 2 minutes we'll run this to get the net portfolio of every model. Perfect. I don't think there's anything wrong here. Let me try to, should I run it? Yeah, let's run it. Bun price tracker.ts. It'll take 2 minutes to start. So let me just change this to be 1 second for now. All right, that should have probably put my portfolio in the database. Hopefully, let's see. Let's do a studio. Let's look at the price tracker, the portfolio size, and it looks something like this over time. Beautiful, exactly what we needed. What is left? Nothing. Nothing is left, folks. Everything is done. We have, I just need to productionize this, which means I need to let's get into that section next. Everything is done. We have bunch of files here, but if you really look at it, we have two primary files. One is this price tracker, whose job is simple: just get the current portfolio and put it in the database, so that eventually we can show the time series data, something like this in a graph. That's the job of this price tracker. The job of index.ts is to call this invoke agent function every what is the new field that we added? Index, not index. And perfect. This main function's job is to ideally call this every few whatever 2 minutes or something like that, or probably every 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, call the main function, which is going to, for every model that exists in our database, invoke the agent, and the agent will tell what to do, and it will do it. I would like to see just once what prompt we're actually sending in the end. So this very big thing over here, cost enriched prompt equal to this thing, and it's going to be the enriched prompt. And also to log this, so log enriched prompt. Let's see. I'm just curious to see the prompt that we have written until this point, and there's probably scope of improvement there. Before I start running this today, I want to make sure the prompt is at least decent enough. Oh boy, again the same thing. There we go. That's the prompt. You're an expert trader. You are given $50 to trade with. We're going to change that. Trade with, you're trading on a crypto market. Can't ETH BTC 00 long. Your current portfolio value is this thing. Okay. Financial information, intraday, long term. What the fuck? Candles are not enough, sir. We're not sending enough data. We're only sending the candles. There are so many nice indicators that we wrote. I'm going to add them really quickly. Prompt, portfolio size, intraday positions is mid prices. So it's going to be a little more complicated than this. So mid prices, this thing, and then RSI, and what's the other thing? No, not the RSI. We calculated the EMA 20 is dot EMA 20s dot join, and then MACDs equal to intraday indicators dot MACD dot join. That looks much better for the intraday position, and the same thing needs to happen for this guy. Something happened to my AI. It's not helping me anymore. Taking a break. Oh, there you go. Something came and then went away. What happened to cursor? Why is it not performing? All right, that looks good. Much better. Hopefully, let's run that one more time. Okay, there we go. Oh boy, EMA 20 is a lot of decimals. Probably doesn't need to be these many decibels. Long term and then intraday, everything is fine. The only problem is ये इतना ज़्यादा precision we don't need. So I'm going to go back to get indicators and do something here. Dot map is good. Basically the same thing on all three. Let's try that one more time. Mid prices, EMA 20s, MACDs for the long term position, for the short term position. You have a crypto. All right, that is perfect. What were our tools called though? Were they called create position and close all position? My bad. So prompt.ts okay, that looks better. Let's see what their prompt was. It probably has a few things that we should add as well. This we forgot. We should probably add that. This we should add. Let me add the candles. That's there. By minute intraday 500 candles, oldest to latest, and the same thing over here. What else? Oh boy. Yeah, oh boy. We need to add positions for a bunch of markets and not just one market, which is what we're doing right now. That side was only placing shorts on Ethereum because we were only giving it Ethereum data. But we need to give it data for all the markets, not just Ethereum. Get indicators. It does take market ID as an input. So why was I an idiot and not giving it all the market IDs? Yeah. So in our constants somewhere, maybe in markets.ts, we have this. So for every market, we need to get this. To cursor tab, I desperately need it to be a little fast right now, but it won't work. Const ters equal to markets.map. Oh, sorry. Oh boy. Object.keys of markets.map market slug markets of market slug dot market ID, and the same thing over here. Return intraday indicators, comma, long term indicators. Alrighty, that looks, oh boy, not great to me. This will be a sync, and this will be await promise dot all. And now this would be a lot of things. Intraday positions. Okay, this is going to be really long now, which I don't love, but there's not much I can do. Is there? Prom.ts will have to change. Basically, there's no easy way to change the prompt like this. So what I'll have to do is replace this with all underscore indicator data. Let's just create that over here. If let's get rid of this dot replace all underscore indicator underscore data with a very complicated string now, which I'm going to call all underscore indicator underscore data. That's what I'm going to create over here right after this. Const all underscore indicator data equal to now it gets a little challenging. Let's say empty string indicators dot for each. Actually, why can't I simply do this? Indicator data market. Yeah. All indicator data equal to all indicator data plus this would be intraday indicators. So mid prices dot mid prices dot join comma, and then EMA 20, and then MACD. Then for the long term, it will be very similar. Aha, cursor is back. All indicator data equal to all indicator data plus this thing. Beautiful. And we should also put a very big market name over here. Market is market slug. Yeah, that's perfect. Now let's look at the prompt. Now we'll have a much better, more relevant prompt. Let's see. There we go. You're reading all of this latest market BTC. This is the intraday candle. This is the long-term candle. Market sold. This is the intraday candle. That looks so wrong. This is not sold prices. This is also Ethereum prices. This is also Ethereum prices. This is also Ethereum prices. So what have I missed? What I have missed is that when I call this, so I call it with the market ID. Get indicators. Are you expecting this market ID at all, sir? You are not. Well, you should. Sole market ID needs to be replaced with this market ID, and we need to get rid of this variable. Now let's try it one last time. Pretty sure it will work this time. Let's look at the prompt. You're an expert trader, yada yada yada. Ethereum prices look fine to me right here. Sol prices look fine to me right here. BTC prices look fine to me right here. If I quickly compare the MACD on these guys, let's see what these guys have for a slightly more long-term position on, let's say, Solana. Their long-term MACD looks something like this: 3.169, 3.088. What does ours look like? 3.45, 3.33333, and then slowly averaging towards a 2 and a 1. For these guys, starts from 3, slowly goes to 2, slowly goes to 1. So looks pretty close. Perfect. Prompt looks good to me now. What else do they have at the end? After they give all the data, do they give anything else in the prompt? Here's your account information and performance. That is something they give, which we don't yet. Probably something to add. Total return, available cash, current account value, live positions and performances. We should probably give that as well. Yeah, let's add that really quickly. Here is your current performance in prompt.ts. Here is your current performance, and I should probably put all of this over. Available cash, something we'll have to add now. Available underscore cash, and then what else do you have? Current account value. I've given it once. I'm going to give it one more time. Portfolio value or current account underscore value. And then lastly, the open positions, right? Current positions and performance. Current account positions. All right, let's quickly add those as well. So amongst the many things we replace here, I'm going to also add, not replace, available cash with something. I'll tell you what that is. And then current account value, which is just the dollar followed by the portfolio. And then the last thing, which is the current account positions. Firstly, yeah, there you go. That's right here. So it's the best part. What is it? Yeah, I think it is. Is it? No, it isn't. Problem is, oh yeah, we have everything. Liquidation price, unrealized P&L, realized P&L. So there you go. Yeah, that's fine. Just JSON.stringify it. And then lastly, available cash is something we will get from, I'll tell you where. This guy. You should not return a string generally. You should have returned two things. Total, this thing, and available string. And यहाँ पे we should have returned total, this thing, and then available would be, wait for it. If I have that endpoint open somewhere, I do. Here, if you look at, we have collateral, and then we have, come on, available balance. So this thing right here, response dot data dot accounts of 0 dot available balance. This needs to be response. So does this guy, and wherever this is being used, which was in the price tracker. So let's fix that. Portfolio dot total, and here portfolio dot total dot total dot available. Any place else where portfolio is being used? I don't think so. Yeah, we're fine. Alrighty. Looking at the prompt one more time, I think we should be good this time. Yeah, there you go. Current account value is this. Available cash is this. Oh, current account value looks wrong. 2982 here, kya mere paas? So that looks right. Yeah, it's fine. And current live positions, symbol ETH, position, zero, everything is 0. Let me change that a little. Let me create a small long position. And let's see. Do we now get a different available and total cash? So available cash is only this much, total cash is this much. Performance also tells there is a long position that is open with an unrealized PNL of plus 0.89 because it's in the positive. If it was in the negative, it would have shown that as well. Beautiful. I think we are good to go, guys. What I'm going to do now is productionize this. I basically want to run this all night so that by tomorrow we have some data. To productionize this, I have to do a few things. The very first thing I have to do is keep my laptop open all night where it runs. Eventually, I'll productionize this on a cloud server. Right now, I just run it on the laptop through the night. So by tomorrow, we have some data, some graphs to look at. The other thing I'm going to do is we should have added a bunch of try catches here. Pretty surely raat ko fatega, and then when it does break, I will have a bunch of open positions and no one rebalancing them. But that is fine. Let me quickly go back to tools followed by sub accounts and transfer $1,000 to all three of these. So how do I transfer money from here to here though? Pretty sure I did that a while back. I will need to connect my ledger. And then I forgot. Transfer. There we go. From main account to Claude, $1,000. Transfer. From main account to Quen, $1,000. Transfer. From main account to DeepSeek is the one that's left, I think. DeepSeek, there we go. It has $49 in it, so it needs 951 or something like that. Transfer. All right, that is good. Now I'm going to create a bunch of API keys for these three sub accounts. I'm going to hide that from you guys. I'm also going to delete the API key I created for the main account. So if I go to API keys and number 2, I'm going to basically get rid of the one that I already had. And then let me hide this really quickly. How do I hide this? Okay, wait. There you go. Perfect, that's done. Okay, I got rid of the API key that I created in front of you guys, so you guys can't see it anymore. And now I need to quickly create 3 separate API keys for the 3 separate sub accounts that I have. I'm going to do that off screen. And once that is done, I'll then take you through the process of how I seeded the database and started the process. So let me quickly do that and I'll see you guys in 2 minutes. All right, I have created all the private keys that I need. I have created a NeonDB Postgres database on the cloud. I've added all the 3 models over here. Now, hopefully when I run the script, it just works for all 3 models and starts to place orders. I'm going to do this on a DigitalOcean droplet so that I don't have to run this, locally myself. If my Mac crashes, it still works. So let me log into one of this, one of the DigitalOcean servers that I have, where I'm already running a market maker sort of a bot. I need to copy this code over here now. I think it's safe enough to open source this. So let me quickly do that. Let me add a new repo here called AI Trading Agent. Let me publish. One thing I should do is remove the .git folder in the lighter SDK. Otherwise it'll just be a submodule, it'll complicate things. Git init, git add dot. Have I added, do I have something scary in here? I don't think so. Status, that looks okay to me. I probably have something in there I shouldn't, but I'm just going to commit and push. I don't have any of the wrong API keys or private keys, which is the only thing I'm worried about. Init followed by a git remote, add origin this thing, git push origin head. Now let me clone this repo on the DigitalOcean box that I have. Let me do AI Trading Agent, one install cd lighter SDK, one install cd v.env. Now I'm going to hide a few things from everyone. I'm basically adding the Postgres database URL on the server, and I'm going to get rid of the OpenRouter API key that I showed you guys, and I'm going to create a new one that I'm going to use on the production server. So let me do that really quickly. API keys, deleting the one that you guys saw, creating my own fresh API key that is not shared with the world called DigitalOcean Server AI Trading Agent. Copy it and replace it in the .env file. And I think that should do it. Let's do a Bunix Prisma generate to generate the Prisma client, and I see an error. I think I can show this to you guys now. The error is again missing environment variable database URL. I don't know why it makes you export the environment variable. Why does it not pick it up automatically from the .env file? I think this will be problematic later also when I run the process, but for now I'm just going to export that the database URL as an environment variable. Now I'm going to run bun xprisma generate to generate the client. Seems to have worked. Bun, wait for it, it was called, I forgot, index.ts only, right? Bun_index.ts, can't find Axios, bun add Axios, bun_index.ts. All right, moment of truth. The very first call went for the first model, I would think, yeah. And God knows what happened here. A very first error came, which is a 400, and it says invalid signature. This is going to get really hard to debug, guys. Let's first see, do we have any open orders in our lighter trading engine? Do we have any open orders? Not for sub account 1. Let me go and switch my sub account to sub account 2. Do we have any open orders here? We don't. Let me switch to sub account 3. Do we have any open orders here? We don't. We don't have any open orders. We got a 400 status code, which said bad request. Probably this one right here. I do see a signature that looks okay to me. Might be that I've pasted the API keys incorrectly. Let me quickly check that. I might have an extra space or something in there. That's my only guess. So if I go to my NeonDB dashboard and I open lighter API key, first one looks fine. Second one looks fine. All three of them look fine, honestly. Let me rerun the process once. You guys can see it as well. What model is this? How would I know? CE3CPTC. Same error, which is fine. Same error for the second guy. Probably a same error for the third guy. Let's see. This one's taking really long. All three of them get a 400 status code. I have a guess as to what. Yeah, you guys can see my database URL, can't you? Back in a second. All right, I am back. I think my .env file had a Claude underscore something private key API key, and I have a feeling. There we go. When we create an order, we use this. Why? Oh no, we don't use this, do we? As an example. So here we don't. I'm going to move off screen for a second, open my .env file and search through the code base for API key Claude. Yeah, we're not using it anywhere. Using it in one place, but that's unnecessary. Okay, let me run the same code locally once. Shouldn't change anything. I think we have some debugging ahead of us. Let me run the same code base locally. So one, hey, did you guys see anything again? Maybe you did. I will change the password in case you did. Bun_index.ts gives us probably the same error. Yeah, even worse error this time. A 401. Oh, I changed the OpenRouter API key. So let me quickly change that locally as well. I expired the old one that you guys saw. Right, that is done. Let's try that one more time. Bun_index.ts. And I'm expecting the same error locally. 400 invalid signature, which is, if I don't see it locally, then I'm just using the wrong DigitalOcean machine, because there is some, no, I do see the same error though. Invalid signature. How is this working until this point? How was this working until this point? I have no idea. API key. Oh, there you go. Account index is incorrect, sir. But that shouldn't change anything here, should it? Account index definitely is incorrect. It will be something else. Where have I hard coded this? Here, here, this looks like an unused file, but this thing, yeah, create position, yeah, account index is going to be account.account index. Convert that to a number, please. Thank you. Where else is this being used? Here. So again, same thing. Account.account index. Convert it to a number. Account index. And then, oh, oopsie daisy, that was incorrect. API key index. Account index is what I'm looking for. Create position does import it, but it is unused. And then open position. Get open positions should also, yeah, have an account index here. Oh God, that also means wherever this is being used, we need to pass the account index. Same thing over here. Need to pass the account index, and we're good to go. Let's see if this fixed it. Can get rid of this guy now. So I was using the main accounts account index everywhere, when ideally I need to use the sub accounts account index everywhere, which is already part of the database. I just forgot to put it in the code. Hopefully that's it. That seems fine to me. Oh boy, we've opened 3 positions now. When I say 3 positions, I mean we will very soon open 1 position for each of the sub accounts. That was the issue. Let's see, last one. Let's finish this up. I would love to see what's the difference between all 3 of them, between what Claude did, what DeepSeek did, and what the third one, Qwen. I think this is the slowest one. This takes a long time. There we go. Done. All right, let's see what happened. If I go back here to my lighter dashboard, there is a 2.5 long ETH position opened by the first guy. I'm just closing it for now. 2.5 long ETH by Claude. If you look at DeepSeek, it did a 0.25 long ETH, a slightly more conservative position. Why is everyone only trading with ETH? Am I missing something? Why did neither of these two create a position using BTC? Well, this guy did, and it's down $3 already. All right, so we know that all the models are interacting with and longing, shorting ETH, BTC, whatever. Did I see a 20x position trade history? Or did I see a 10x leverage? Could have sworn I saw 20x for a second here. Anyways, cool. It is working. Let me push this to the server and keep the server on for the night. And tomorrow we'll see what happens. Cursor, git status, git add dot git status, fixed account index bug. Push the code base. Git pull origin master. Now I need to run 2 processes. There is a PM2. There you go. PM2 start interpreter 1 index.ts, and then PM2 start interpreter 1. What was the other one called? The one that would price track, I think it's price tracker.ts. All right, the first one itself errored, so one dogs one, sorry, pm2 logs one, pm2 stop one, export not account index not found in config.ts. Where is it being imported, sir? कहाँ है भाई ये? config.ts से नहीं आ रहा, but है कहाँ पे? What the hell? Cursor account index. Oh, there you go. Open positions has it. Remove it. Anything else? Nothing else. Git add open positions. Git commit -m. Removed unused. Import. Push it. Pull it. Oh. One index.ts. Does it work now? Still doesn't work. Where is account index being used now? Config.ts. Account underscore index equal to 1. Are you being used somewhere, sir? Yes. Cancel order.ts. Okay, that is a very big bug that I thankfully fixed right now. Else I wouldn't have been able to cancel orders, which would have been really sad. All right, get rid of that. Are you being used now? No, great. Git status. Good thing we fixed that. If not, a lot of bad things could have happened. I should add a failsafe. I should cancel all the orders if things go really bad or something like that. Remove import. Yeah, I think I'm playing with fire over here. I underestimate the amount of money I've put in, and how computers can go haywire, especially if you sleep, which is what I'm going to do right after. So I should probably have a failsafe coded. Okay, if something goes bad, just cancel all the orders everywhere. Will I do that though? No, I'm very sleepy, so I won't. Let's do a PM2 list. PM2 logs 2. Actually, one more thing I forgot. Index again. Uncomment the set interval, sir. This should run every 5 minutes. Git status. Git add index.ts. Git commit -m. Add it back. Interval. Push. And then again in the price tracker, do we have the interval? We do. All right. This is pushed. Now let me pull again. And now PM2 list followed by PM2 logs 2. Let's just say everything good here. Everything looks good here. PM2 start 1. PM2 logs 1. Just tracking the logs, seeing everything is good. Everything looks good until now. These are old logs. One thing I want to see is in my database, which is this thing right here. Do we have entries for portfolio sizes now? Because I am running the thing. Yeah, there we go. We have entries in the portfolio size table, hopefully getting added every 2 minutes. Because every 2 minutes is when we had the interval, right? If you remember, this interval runs every 2 minutes. So hopefully every 2 minutes we're updating this portfolios table. And as for the actual LLM, it will start in 5 minutes because we have a 5-minute clock over here. So I'll see you guys in 5 minutes. After the first LLM call is made, we'll see if everything is working or not, and is the size being tracked over time or not. Right, the thing is running indeed. The very first invocation has happened. As you can see, there was a 15x sol long that was created. And if I go back to the other sub accounts, let's see what Claude did. Claude ended up opening a 20x ETH long. Oh boy, a lot of leverage here. And for the third guy, opened a 20x ETH long as well. Second and the third, that's Claude and DeepSeek have sort of been performing very similar. Coin is taking extremely contrarian bets, and is the most underperforming one at the moment. That's like a very small number to look at right now. I'm hitting the bed, which could be a very dumb decision right now. Now I sleep is 8:30 in the morning. The database is collecting all the prices over time. It is connecting all the invocations, and thankfully I haven't seen any error yet. We're also running this once every 5 minutes, so I'm not expecting any rate limits to hit. There is some nonce management logic in here which can also fail from time to time, but we're not using optimistic nonces, which also means there's a low probability of this failing. If this ever crashes, the only problem is we're not rebalancing our position, and hence, we might take one position right now, which if I wake up after 8 hours, might just be a very bad position to be in. That's the only thing to worry about right now, but I think we'll see this in the morning. Going to hit the bed, and then we'll, in the morning, write the front end for it, visualize how did our AI perform in a span of 1 day, 2 day before the video goes out. I will see you guys tomorrow, and I might be regretting or being very happy tomorrow morning. We'll see. Good night, folks. Alrighty. The night is over. Did you guys sleep well? I slept well. I slept for a good 8 hours. And when I woke up, like half an hour ago, all three of the models were close to $1,000. The surprising thing was the thing did not stop. The script was running correctly. There were no errors. I also woke up in the middle beach में at 2 a.m. Or 2 p.m. Sorry. And when I woke up, I saw one of the models was up, the other two were down. Right now, this is what it looks like. Claude and DeepSeek are up by around $40 and $67. Quen is still at the $1,000, which is very surprising because Quen is the one that's performing the best on the original Alpha Arena. If you look at the open positions, I'm currently in the Claude account. It has a ETH long that is open that is currently down. And if you look at DeepSeek, it currently has a Sol long that is open that is currently up. It's a really small position that is open over here though. If you look at the trade history, I think most of the money was made on a Solana long that both of these models ended up taking. This took a long of 8,000 plus 1,700 plus, yeah, these. So around $10,000 long. That ended up providing most of the profits over here. And I think the same order is what provided most of the profits to the second one. And I think Quen never really took that position. But surprisingly, both of these took the same position, which made most of the profits to these two guys. That's what it looks like right now. I hopefully have all the time series data. So what's left now, actually, let me just confirm that. If I go back to my server here, PM2 list, PM2 logs 1. This is working as expected. I see a bunch of errors. I don't know when they came. But other than that, this is still working and every 5 minutes sending a request. And if I look at the logs for the second script, which is constantly storing the time series data, it seems to work. I'll also go to my database really quickly and confirm if we have the time series data for the last 1 day. And if we do, that pretty much means we are good to go and we can create a graph out of the daily performance and actually see how things went up and down through the day. If I look at portfolio size, that looks fairly filled. If I go to the next page, yeah, this looks decent. Yeah, seems like we have all the time series data as well. Let's quickly create a front end that graphs this time series data out. All right, I'm skipping through this part. Took me around 40 minutes to code it. I vibe coded most of it. The charting library that the AI ended up using was recharts. This is what it looks like right now. It has the graph on the left that will show you the performance of every model. Right now, we're a little bit in the positive, nothing crazy. I think $10 or $20 in profit, but at some point, DeepSeek was doing really well. I'm going to deploy this very soon, so we'll be able to track its position over the next 1-2 months. I'll keep the capital as is, and we'll see how it performs in the time to come. You can also track the responses from the LLM over here and what tool calls were made as time goes by. So just come to this page. I'll share the live link right now very soon. And you can track how the AI is doing. The code is open source. You can go to github.com/𝗟𝗶හි𝗸𝘀/AI trading agent and follow along and figure out in case you want to deploy this for yourself. Let me quickly deploy this on a public facing URL so you can track this over time. All right, it's also deployed. I might make this a little fancy or ask someone to do it. By the end, you might see a cleaner page or a better graph, but this is where you can go, aitrading.100xsteps.com, and you can track its performance over the upcoming days and I'm very surprised by the performance, honestly. I think you and I, at least the first time, if you think about AI trading, generally think it'll be a fad. That's what I would expect it to do. But seeing the fact that it's after trading around $500,000, everything is close to up, if not up. It's very surprising. For example, for one of these models, we're up $50 after trading for around half a mil, which is a very surprising fact. I personally cannot trade as good as an AI for sure. It's definitely a better trader than I am, probably because I have no idea how to trade. But the fact that it's profitable is a surprising stat for me, probably for a lot of you. Does that mean everyone will trade using AI? I don't know. I think that's a wrong assumption to make, and I think over the next few days we'll actually see if this is actually a fad, or we need a lot of data, much more volumes, and a lot of more months and years to actually say this is a good thing to do or not. Probably not something I'd recommend with money that you can't lose. With that, we'll end it. Hopefully, this was an interesting video. Let me know what you guys would like to see next. I'll do one more project video soon enough. We're trying to aim for 2 project videos a month. So let me know which one would you like to see next. With that, we'll end it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.